The Senate Committee on Government Affairs will come to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley? Here. Senator Ellison? Present. Senator Krasner? Senator Neal? Senator Orenshaw?
Here.
Perez?
Present. Please let the record reflect we have 5 members present. We do have a quorum. Please mark Senator Neal as absent excused and mark her as present as she joins us back in committee. And please do the same for Senator Krasner. Good afternoon, everyone, to yet again a very voluminous agenda for government affairs. We do appreciate everybody hanging out with us on a Friday. It is our intent to speed through these bills and focus on issues that we may have and not ask questions that are just for our entertainment. We're going to take the bills in the order that they appear. I do see Assemblymember Roth here, and she just got really excited knowing that she's going to go first. I want to remind everybody to please limit your testimony in support, opposition, or neutral to 2 minutes. State your name for the record each time that you come up to speak. And with that, good afternoon and welcome. Welcome. Please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Flores, Vice Chair Orenshaw, and members of the Senate Government Affairs Committee. My name is Erica Roth, and I'm proud to represent Assembly District 24 in Washoe County. Thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to present AB 235, which seeks to protect reproductive health care providers from increasing and pervasive harassment and violence. With me at the table is Alexa Solis, Interim Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Votes Nevada. Our reproductive health care providers ensure women and families are able to access life-saving health care in this state. However, they are facing increased violence and harassment for this work. Stalking and threats of harm or death directed towards abortion providers have been reported to have increased 200 to 900% following the overturning of Roe v. Wade, while stalking incidents more than doubled in that time. One of the most insidious forms of violence to emerge over the past decade is doxing, or the public release of personal contact information to facilitate harassment. Data mining firms have begun utilizing public records requests to access reproductive health care providers' home numbers and addresses to then release that information to people seeking to cause those providers harm. Our healthcare workers should not be put in this position where their lives or well-being are in danger simply for doing their jobs. And AB 235 provides us one method for doing so by allowing reproductive health care providers to petition to hide their home addresses and information from public view. I will now turn the presentation over to Alexa Solis, Interim Director for Planned Parenthood Votes Nevada, to speak to the rising threats her providers and employees face in this state, and then I will walk you through the provisions of the bill.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Alexa Solis, A-L-E-X-A-S-O-L-I-S for the record, and I'm the Interim Director of Planned Parenthood Votes Nevada. This bill will allow current provisions for fictitious addresses to extend to reproductive health care providers in Nevada. These providers and their support staff who provide legally available services with compassion and the highest levels of quality medical care deserve to be protected in their homes, especially when providing care that Nevadans affirm time and time again must be protected by state law. However, we can all admit that the political environment in recent years has become more and more divisive and in some cases for our staff dangerous. In recent years, providers and Planned Parenthood staff in Nevada have been targeted with religious mail, have had anti-abortion propaganda physically dropped off at their homes, have received numerous threatening phone calls, and have experienced threatening incidents within Planned Parenthood health centers in Las Vegas. In one recent incident, Nevada Right to Life encouraged their supporters to call in locations of our signature gatherers, who were then subsequently stopped by police under false reports of breaking into cars and robbery. While this fictitious address bill will not solve all of these issues, it will at least protect providers and staff in their homes where they should feel the most safe. After the successful passage of the Nevadans for Reproductive Freedom Amendment by 64% in this last election cycle, it is clear that Nevadans believe in the right to access abortion and have a strong desire to protect that care in their state. It should also be said that Nevada is already experiencing provider shortages that impact patient care, and it is of the utmost importance that we continue to ensure providers are protected and supported in our state. I urge this committee to pass AB 235 as part of their commitment to safety, regardless of political divides.
Thank you, Chair Erica Roth. For the record, with the chair's permission, if I can walk you through the provisions of the bill, and then we'll be ready to answer any questions. Assembly Bill 235 in part concerns court orders that require a county recorder, county assessor, county clerk, city clerk, or the Secretary of State to confidentially maintain the personal information of certain persons. This is already set out in statute in NRS 217.6.462, NRS 247.540, and NRS 481.091, which enumerates a long list of individuals who are already able to petition the court to make their addresses fictitious. This simply adds abortion providers and providers of gender-affirming care to those lists. So Section 1 is in regards to the county recorder petition. Section 2 is in regards to the county assessor petition. Section 3 is in regard to the Secretary of State petition. And then Section 4 is the DMV alternate address. And with that, I'm ready for questions.
Members, any questions? Senator Ellison, please.
Didn't we just do the recorders and county employees, not, the elected official? Didn't we just do that just during this session?
Erica Roth for the record, and legal probably has a better answer than this, but my understanding is that last session there was an addition to the same sections for both the county assessors, recorders, and DMV to allow the same process for certain other public officials. Currently, there's a long list that includes any justice or judge in the state, any senior justice or senior judge in the state, any court-appointed master in the state, any clerk of court, court administrator, or court executive officer in the state, any prosecutor who, in part of his normal job responsibilities, prosecutes persons for certain crimes, any public defender for those same crimes, any social worker employed by the state or political subdivision of the state, who provides child welfare services or child protective services, any county manager, any inspector or officer or investigator of the state, and the list continues to go on. And there was, I believe, an addition that had to do with any other public official which could otherwise prove the need for this.
Why I'm asking this, Mr. Chairman, we've had all these different ones. What I thought eventually is what we should do is look at those that want to be exempted out can, instead of having to go to individual units or individual people but I think that might be something that we could do, and then it's up to them to opt out and to be done. Okay, thank you.
And we will get clarification from legal. I know last session, AB 225 specifically created a catch-all for those individuals that weren't captured under specifically NRS 247.540. And I know Ms. Clarkson can go in on that. Please.
Thank you. For the record, this is Heidi Clarkson with the Legal Division. The chair is correct. There was a bill, AB 225, that added an additional provision to NRS that allowed any person who was not otherwise in this list to petition to get their information to be held confidential. They do have to set forth sufficient justification for the request for confidentiality, so it's not just that anyone can go to court to get the confidentiality order. I would also point out that this session, I believe I can't remember the bill number off the top of my head, but this committee considered a bill to amend these same provisions to add, I believe, firefighters and retired firefighters to the list of persons who are allowed by definition to get their personal information requested. So I would just say that going forward, it's really a policy decision of the legislature to decide whether or not they want to expand the list of persons who, again, by definition, can go seek this order. But regardless, there is still a provision and provisions in NRS that allow any other person who is not delineated to also go through a process to have their information be confidential.
Senator Neal.
Thank you. So how many people, maybe I missed it, how many people does this actually represent that could be eligible?
Erica Roth for the record. Thank you for that question, Senator. I don't have an exact number for you, and I'm happy to go back to Planned Parenthood as far as our providers, the number of providers that we have. But this is very narrowly tailored, and just to kind of touch on, the purpose of looking at healthcare providers who are providing reproductive healthcare or gender affirming healthcare, and why that's important right now is because by nature of the political climate, their jobs have become political. They are following American Medical Academy standards. They are providing healthcare pursuant to their oaths, but their jobs on their own have become political and dangerous. And so as far as the number of providers, I know that we have one healthcare provider in Planned Parenthood in the north. I will, and I believe one down south, but this would encompass other healthcare providers that do provide reproductive health care or gender affirming care outside of that. And I'm happy to try to find some of those more specific numbers for you.
Oh,
Please follow.
that's why I was asking, because when you have the provider of health care and then the definition of what reproductive health is, it includes postpartum care and a vasectomy, so that we're not just talking about, right, like one gender. We're talking about actual, male and female doctors who perform this, who are now in this. And postpartum care, that's not narrowly tailored, right? Because postpartum care, how does that become dangerous to administer postpartum care to someone?
Erica Roth for the record, and I apologize, Chair, through you to the Senator, and thank you for that question. I think better to understand is that especially with Planned Parenthood, our reproductive health care providers, abortion is just a very small portion of the health care that they provide in their practice. And, we provide cancer screening, we provide birth control, we provide assistance with birth plans, all of these STD testing, all of this other kind of all of this other kind of health care. But abortion care naturally falls under reproductive health care. So if you're providing any sort of planning for birth, that is going to include abortion care, because abortion care is often included in the care that's required if you were to have a miscarriage or something of the sort. And so our providers who provide reproductive health care, abortion is generally included in that. And because of that, they're being targeted, even when their scope of practice is larger than that.
I mean, I understand on the abortion front, right? But I guess it promoted questions when you said it was narrowly tailored, because I don't see this as narrowly tailored. If it was just abortion, yes, but it's healthcare facilities and a provider of healthcare who is eligible for the fictitious address. So that's any OBGYN who would be eligible, and any male provider who would fall into the vasectomy or infertility care, right? And so, because that's both, right? This is not, infertility could be a male, infertility could be a female. So that's not narrowly tailored, right? You're allowing multiple folks to come in. It's not just protection of abortion. And so I think, just to have a clear record, we're using that, but the bill says more than that.
Erica Roth for the record, again, thank you. I think what's really important to understand is that our healthcare providers who provide abortion or who provide infertility care, even for men, are facing these same kind of attacks. It is across the country, across the board, we have our healthcare providers, whether they're providing abortion, whether we're talking about birth control, whether we're talking about fertility care, they are facing increased attacks. And so I believe it's an incredibly important policy decision for this body to make, to say that those providers who overwhelmingly provide abortion and these other services, or I should say the opposite, if you provide these other services, you are likely to also provide abortion care, to be protected, but to also say we are going to protect our healthcare providers who provide access to birth control, who provide access to fertility care, because we are seeing attacks on those issues across the board.
Members, any additional questions? Senator Rogich, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing this bill. How many attacks have been occurring in Nevada? I know we have a shield law in place, and so I'm just curious as to know what is going on within our state. I understand there may be, there are incidents occurring across the nation, but what's happening here? Because I thought we had pretty good protections at the moment. So.
Question, Senator Alexis Solis for the record. In terms of what's happening in Nevada, I don't have specific numbers on reports, but what I can say as Planned Parenthood is that across the board, whether it's our providers or staff on like my side of the organization, we are all seeing increased attacks and also increased inflammatory language, as well as actions while out in the field. So for instance, in my testimony, I referenced an incident that happened while gathering signatures. That happened often, and we had Planned Parenthood staff harassed just for wearing a pink vest while out in the field. And that happened several times throughout the campaign cycle. Additionally, we had a healthcare provider, a sex educator, who was doxxed in the Planned Parenthood Marmonte affiliate, which is affiliated with Nevada as well, a couple of years ago. So these attacks are certainly increasing in the current political climate. Thank you.
Please follow up.
I'm showing my age, but I had asked my colleague here, what is doxing? I'm not
Erica
familiar
Roth
with
for the
that.
record, yeah. And just first briefly, we also have had employees of Planned Parenthood and providers have literature or been visited at their homes. And so what we're talking about is a narrow situation. We're only talking about hiding someone's home address. This doesn't actually protect them at the Planned Parenthood facilities where many of these attacks occur. But doxing, to your second question, is where somebody's home address, phone number, personal information is released to the public for the purpose of facilitating that harassment. That is something that we're seeing across the board. It's something that I have experienced just this legislative session. And so allowing individuals who are practicing in an area that is politically dangerous right now is very important, just to ensure that their home addresses, that's it, is being hidden from public view.
Members, any additional questions? Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Assemblymember Roth, and thank you, the representative from Planned Parenthood. I guess my question is, do you think that if this is enacted into statute, it might give comfort to some healthcare providers who are thinking of coming to Nevada to practice and might be worried about their information being put on websites or sent out in email campaigns? I'm wondering if it might give more comfort to healthcare providers thinking of coming to the state.
Erica Roth for the record, and thank you for that question. It's a really important one. You know, we talk a lot in this state about increasing our health providers and ensuring that we have enough health providers across the board. But we are also need to be understanding that there are reproductive healthcare providers are practicing in an incredibly volatile and scary time. And so we do have providers who have, conveyed how scared they are. They're scared for both their health and safety, but the health and safety of their families. And by enacting this in statute, it allows reproductive healthcare providers in even more hostile states like Texas, for example, to have an understanding that in Nevada, we value the work that they do and will protect them.
Thank you, and I do appreciate anything that would try to give, healthcare providers more comfort in coming to the state. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you again for the presentation. I'd like to invite you to sit back. And I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 235 to please come forward. And if there's anybody in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support, please feel free to occupy one of the 3 seats available. Good afternoon, welcome.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Sarah Adler, spelled A-D-L-E-R, and I am proud today to represent both the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, Nevada section, and the Nevada Advanced Practice Nurses Association. So those are ACOG and NAPNA. And this is a priority bill for both of those constituents, those clients of ours this year. And it is for reasons that several of you have brought forward. It is for the reason that Senator Orenshaw brought up, because we need more straight-out OBGYNs, straight-out APRNs to come to Nevada, but some of them want to choose to practice in these areas that sadly are controversial. So they agree with you that this will be a way to compete with other states who are looking for providers. I also appreciate what Senator Ellison brought up about, isn't this opportunity already available to receive confidentiality? Well, both of these organizations are eager to do outreach to their communities when this bill passes to let them know that you have the opportunity to request confidentiality if you are one of these providers. Most healthcare providers don't follow what you all accomplish in this building. So by having this very focused bill, you've created the opportunity for outreach. So we greatly appreciate the sponsor bringing this bill, and we request your support. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Riley Svensson, RYLEY-SVENDSEN, and I am the Policy Specialist with the Nevada Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. Reproductive freedom is violence prevention and intervention, and as such, we need to protect healthcare providers who dedicate their careers to providing these critical and essential services. AB 235 is an important step, and it sends a clear message that the work they do is essential for our community's safety and that their lives have value. To put it simply, when victim survivors have equitable access to the reproductive health care that they need, whether it's in the form of contraception, family planning services, or an abortion, their agency and their autonomy increases. When individuals have agency and autonomy over their lives, we can prevent violence before it starts. Protecting our healthcare workers ensures that individuals have such agency and autonomy. So not only does AB 235 protect victim survivors, it also protects our brave healthcare providers from harassment and potential future violence. AB 235 is critical violence prevention, and for this, we urge your support. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Davida Tyson, D-A-V-I-D-A-T-Y-S-O-N, and I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Women's Lobby. This bill offers critical privacy protections to reproductive healthcare providers, gender-affirming care providers, and their families by allowing them to keep personal information like their addresses confidential. AB 235 helps reduce the risk of harassment, intimidation, and violence. These professionals provide essential care in our communities and deserve the right to feel safe at home and at work. AB 235 is a thoughtful, necessary step to protect their safety and their privacy. We urge your support for this bill. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to come forward in support of Assembly Bill 235? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. Anybody wishing to join us over the phone in support of Assembly Bill 235?
If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 235, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 235 to please come forward, Carson City or Las Vegas. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Melissa Clement with Nevada Right to Life, MELISSA, CLEMENT, in opposition to AB 235. I do have testimony further down, but I thought it was very important that I clarify a few things that were put on the record today. Here's the thing. Many people have received religious material in the mail. I do all the time. That's called evangelization. I often get people actually knocking on my door wanting to talk to me about religion. During the election, both Planned Parenthood and Nevada Right to Life sent out and distributed materials to voters across the state about Question 6. That's called electioneering and canvassing. Nevada Right to Life did urge citizens to report signature gatherers operating on private property without permission, which is not allowed without the express consent of the property owner. I don't know if any of you remember getting accosted in the supermarket about this particular question. And I was personally told that this would allow abortion through the first trimester, but that's all it would do. That this was about women's safety, Question 6, all kinds of things like that. There was a lot of misinformation, and when I tried to correct that, or any of our people did, we would generally be greeted with being flipped off or something like that. Sadly, this is called viewpoint-based violence or disrespect. I don't like it either direction. We've seen a lot of people getting doxxed and people being subjected to violence on both sides, whether it's a Tesla owner, whether it's a church, whether it's a crisis pregnancy center. And so while we as an organization, we abhor all of this stuff, but we also think that good legislation would apply to everybody, regardless of the viewpoint. And so I would ask the sponsor to consider rewriting this bill so that everybody is protected, their privacy and their safety is protected. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Flores and committee. My name is Joshua Skaggs, and I'm the Legislative Affairs Director for the Nevada Republican Party, here today in opposition to AB 235. Our platform states we oppose medical treatments such as puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries that will sterilize or adversely affect the health of minor children. Gender-affirming care for children is absolutely inappropriate. Minors should not be subjected to irreversible medical procedures, including hormone therapies, puberty blockers, and other extreme surgical procedures that will leave them with costly medical bills and regret as they get old enough to make their own decisions. Existing law offers anonymity protection for those working in the judicial system, law enforcement, etc. Over time, additional classes of people who may or may not face comparable dangers have been added. AB 235 seeks to add those who work in reproductive health care to this list. Why would a bill be created that creates anonymity and other protections for healthcare providers who practice abortion and gender-affirming care for minors? We have seen with heavily armed early morning raids on pro-life individuals like Mark Huck and Paul Vaughn that the true danger is to peaceful protesters who are targeted by the government for exercising their First Amendment rights to peaceful protest. Where are the protections for pro-life activists to prevent violent invasions of their homes and the trauma it causes to their families? Where are the protections for staff of crisis pregnancy centers or those who work for religious organizations seeking to educate on alternatives to abortion? If those on one side of this debate are to be protected, then as a matter of fairness, protections should be extended to all. And for these reasons, the Nevada Republican Party opposes AB 235. And thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, welcome.
Tanya Freeman, I'm going to echo the words of our Republican representative here. The protections need to be extended to everyone or to no one.
I just wanted to make sure our team, you did get the name for the record? Okay, perfect. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to join us in opposition to Assembly Bill 235? I do see some folk in Las Vegas. Welcome.
Cyrus Ojati, Hojjaty. I'm in opposition. Thank you so much. And I agree, we should not harass people on both sides, but this is not the bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to testify in opposition? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. Anybody wishing to join us over the phone in opposition to Assembly Bill 235?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 235, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
You are Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kimberly Fergus, Fergus. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I strongly oppose AB 235. Current Nevada law, including NRS 247.540 and NRS 2.50.140, already provide mechanisms for individuals in high-risk roles to request confidentiality of personnel information covering judges, prosecutors, law enforcement, and domestic violence victims. AB 235 seeks to expand these protections to reproductive health and gender-affirming care providers and their families, allowing them to request confidentiality from county recorders, assessors, and the DMV. While safety concerns are valid, this bill creates a new protected class of healthcare providers without sufficient justification, setting a dangerous precedent for other professionals to seek similar treatment. Furthermore, Section 4 duplicates existing provisions under NRS 481.091, allowing for alternative addresses on identification cards, a mechanism already available through voter confidentiality and the fictitious address program under NRS 217.462-471. If the goal is to address specific threats, current laws already provide necessary protections without establishing new and selective categories. AB 235 is redundant, unnecessary, and opens the door to a fragmented and inconsistent application of Nevada privacy laws. I urge you to vote no. Thank you. Have a great day.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the state, I'm the state vice president of Nevada Families for Freedom. And mostly everything that I was looking at has been addressed about this whole thing. Isn't this a legal document and setting up people for a special class over everybody else? And I believe that there's a lot of problems on both sides with pro-life volunteers and workers, with pregnancy, crisis pregnancy centers being bombed. And gee whiz, Janine Hansen and I have had actual death threats right there in the legislative building a number of times. We've been out petitioning and had a lot of problems with people coming up to us and threatening us. So we understand what's going on. We just got to stay tough. But I believe that if you're going to protect some people in one class, you have to do everybody. So please vote no on AB 235. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Hi, my name is Katrina Ivanov, and IBANO Frank. I am in strong opposition of this bill. I ditto the previous callers. Thank you and have a lovely day.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Hi, Yolanda Knock, Yolanda, last name Knaak, Chair and Committee. I'm asking for a no vote. I'd like to ditto the previous callers in opposition. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us. Caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in opposition of AB 235. If you would like to testify in opposition, please press *9 or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Good afternoon. My name is Tammy Romo, Tamiromo, and I'm in strong opposition of this bill. If the doctors aren't doing anything wrong, it would be the purpose of hiding their identity. We all face life problems, and we don't get that privilege of hiding our information, especially nowadays with the internet. Internet seems to have all the information on us, regardless of whether we like it on there. So I strongly oppose AB 235. Thank you.
And thank you. Next caller in opposition, please.
Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
We'll stay on the phone line. Anybody wishing to join us in the neutral position to Assembly Bill 235?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 235, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Thank you. Carson City or Las Vegas, anybody wishing to testify in the neutral position to Assembly Bill 235? Seeing nobody coming forward, Assembly member, any closing remarks?
Thank you. Erica Roth for the record, Assembly District 24. This bill is very simple, and it's about protecting our healthcare providers. That's it. If Nevada Right to Life or any crisis pregnancy center begins providing actual healthcare, they will also qualify for the protections under this bill. Thank you.
I think we have one closing question or maybe comment. Senator Rogich, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was hoping that legal counsel could let us know if the pro-life organizations and the individuals involved with pro-life are covered under the definition in Section 1, subparagraph 3I.
Thank you. For the record, this is Heidi Carson. As the bill sponsor indicated, if the proponents of if the proponents are providing health care in a way that is not providing abortion, but providing some other type of health care, they are covered. It's not just limited to abortion providers. Someone who is probably exercising political speech for or against, that's where it's not covered. But this is limited to providers of health care. However, it is not just limited to providers of health care or facilities or employees or volunteers of these facilities that provide abortion.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And with that, we'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 235. Thank you, Assemblymember Roth, for joining us. Next, we'll open up the hearing on Assembly Bill 263. Assemblymember Mosca, welcome whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Erica Mosca for the record. I just need to pull up my PowerPoint. Thank you. Erica Mosca for the record. In the spirit of being fast on a Friday, hopefully you do have, we brought down our printed off copies, so I'll just go through that. Thank you for hearing Assembly Bill 263 today. This bill is my East Las Vegas bill. I'm going to go through the why of the bill, the work summary, and then the amendment. And so hopefully, if you do have the printed PowerPoint version, I first had a slide on slide 3 of my different types of policies that I have this session, and this one goes directly under community support, trying to support East Las Vegas and helping our county and our state work together to collaborate. On slide 4, I had the different things about Assembly District 14 so you could get to know it. The median household income is $42,000 compared to $70,000 in our state. More than half is renter occupied versus owner occupied, and I always say it's a vibrant community with diverse small business, restaurants, and many hardworking immigrant families, but we have very little new economic development. And one thing that I emphasize on the Assembly side of this hearing is that I do believe my unhoused constituents are my constituents too. And so on slide 5, I had a picture of all the different community events I've done, and really it's the number one issue that I hear from residents in my district is they want to figure out what are we doing to support those who are unhoused in our district. And I had a quick video that I'll send you. I know I sent you my other video, but we actually have been doing outreach to our community for the last year and a half, and so that was actually a video of what I'd done with different volunteers. And on slide 7 is actually a picture of me picking up trash, and we have done multiple cleanups and community events to make sure this wasn't just a bill that I was going to bring and ask the legislature to support or fix, but that it had been something that I'd worked on for a year and a half with multiple stakeholders, multiple engagements to understand what's happening in the community. So on slide 8, we had just some outcomes. We did over a dozen cleanups. Bless you. With 20 individual volunteers. I'd done 2 town halls with the a cappella duet and Maycliff mobile homes in partnership with Commissioner Sager-Bloom. I did 2 metro ride-alongs with the homeless outreach team. I toured municipal and county facilities, including the Clark County Navigation Center in my district, the City of Las Vegas Courtyard with some of the members on this committee, and the Washoe County Cares Campus up north to understand the local perspective. I also had multiple meetings with NDOT, and we toured multiple nonprofits to understand. And so on page 9 is just a picture of myself with Commissioner Sager-Bloom last session when we went and walked the wash together in the assembly hearing. Commissioner Sager-Bloom co-presented with me because this is also a bill that he and Clark County are supporting. So I'll get into the meat of what is the bill. So you have the reprint version, and there's also an amendment that I'll go over. But essentially, what this bill is trying to solve 2 things. There are many areas, especially in my district, where there are borders of NDOT and borders of county. And when NDOT is one side of the street and the county is the other side of the street, there is not always a lot of collaboration or working together to support those who are living outside. And there is always a conversation on whose jurisdiction is it, whether if it's the social services outreach, whether is who's going to do the cleanup, whether whose accountability is it. And so what this bill is just trying to do is say that Clark County, because it's POP-capped, so it's only Clark County, and NDOT will work together, especially in lower income communities, to make sure that they are collaborating in unhoused outreach. So and that's what you see in section 1, sub 1 is that it is POP-capped. Number 2 just defines right-of-way, because that was very important. And then finally, section 3, sub 1 talks about the cleanups, and 2 is the definition of homeless outreach team. And so this bill has been heavily amended because we wanted it to continue to get through and wanted to get a policy passed. Both Clark County and NDOT are supportive, and the amendment was just final cleanup of the amendment on the assembly side, and you will see the proposed amendments here. So I'd love to take any and all questions, and I'll invite NDOT and the county to sit with me if they would like, if we have questions. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you for joining us and walking us through all the amazing work you're doing in the community, Members, any questions? Senator Daley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just real quick, I think your amendment takes care of what my question was the definition of near. It was a little nebulous, but I think immediately adjacent is going to be fairly clear and understandable by most people. So I think that handles it, so good.
Members, any additional questions? It looks like you are off the hook, Assemblymember Mosca. And with that, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 263 to please come forward.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. Joanna Jacob, JACOB, on behalf of Clark County here in the Assembly. As Assemblywoman Mosca testified to, Chair Sager-Bloom presented this bill with her to reflect the commissioner's commitment to his district, and we are supportive And we really worked on this to try and mitigate the fiscal impact to the county of trying to put these teams out, but also to clarify that there should be a clear path of communication between us and NDOT as we are trying to work on cleanups. And the issue is really, and I will speak for Chair Sugarblum here. He testified in the assembly about where we are already putting out our Clark County Homeless Outreach Team. It's a team that we work on with our Public Works Division, goes out first, and then Help of Southern Nevada is one of our contractors that goes out to notify the homeless constituents who are in the district, give notice so that they can remove their belongings or they can get connected to services and then get advance notice of the cleanup action. And then it's a multi-day process. Sometimes that does happen immediately adjacent to a state right-of-way, and so this is intended to allow us to also go into the right-of-way if we need to do the cleanup. So because the constituents don't know the lines of demarcation between the county and NDOT. So that's the purpose of the bill. Thank you very much.
We do have one question for you. Senator Neal, please.
Chair, so in this relationship, will the county bill NDOT or is this?
Joanna Jacob for the record, JCOB for the record, no, we do not bill NDOT for the record. The original language of the bill required an MOU. I think there were some concerns from NDOT about fiscal impacts to the state. We fund the homeless outreach team. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you again. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, members of the committee. My name is Wesley Harper. I am the Director of Government Affairs for the City of North Las Vegas. We work with the sponsor in order to understand how North Las Vegas could cooperate in this project should our homeless outreach team be interested in doing so. She was very accommodating and helped us understand what that process would be, and therefore we are in support.
And we also have a quick question. Senator Neal, please.
Thank you. How many people are in the North Las Vegas homeless outreach team?
Wesley Harper, for the record, I do not know. Wesley Harper, for the record, I do not know.
Senator Ellison, please.
I don't know if this will help or not, but in our area, we have different groups. I belong to a car club, and I think it's either next week or the week after next. You know, we get together and then we go down both sides and we take garbage bags and clean everything up. And down along the frontage roads, we have our 4-H groups that go out there and help clean up. So we get the community involved in doing a lot of these. And not only does it help get it clean, but it gives these guys pride in what they're doing. And it gets everybody geared up. And then the city every year goes down along the river and they have a cleanup day there. So we're involved in our community trying to get it clean, and so it might be something you might want to look at and try to get the different organizations, and mostly the youth groups. They're pretty proud when they can get in there and work. Thank you.
Wesley Harper, for the record. Thank you very much, Senator.
And thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 263? Seeing no one coming forward in Las Vegas or Carson City, we'll go to the phone lines. Support for Assembly Bill 263.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 263, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window. Chair, you have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 263, if you could please come forward. Seeing none in Carson City or Las Vegas, BPS, do we have anybody wishing to join us in opposition over the phone?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 263, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Hi, Katrina Ivanov. The bill is well intended, but I don't see how this bill helps the homeless people. I don't see anything in there to help the homeless population of Nevada. And even if you like most of the bill, if you don't like one thing, you have to testify in opposition. So I have to follow those rules. I don't think this bill helps the vulnerable homeless population in Nevada. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Next person in opposition over the phone, AB 263.
Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. We'll stay on the phone line. Is there anybody wishing to join us in the neutral position to Assembly Bill 263?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 263, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Thank you. Is there anybody
Oh, I'm
wishing?
sorry. Someone just raised their hand. Would you like me to allow that?
Please.
Ms.
Hi,
Funk, you are muted.
yeah.
Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, so I'm Susan Fung, FUNG. I'll go neutral on that. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to join us in the neutral position to Assembly Bill 263?
Thank you, Chair. You have no more callers neutral at this time.
Great. We do have folk ready to testify in Las Vegas. We'll go to Las Vegas and then come back to Carson City.
Cyrus Hojjati, Hojjaty, Strong Towns, Las Vegas. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this bill. It's a good bill, and if it's okay, I apologize. I'd like to testify in support. Thank you.
Understood. We'll register that as support. Thank you for joining us. Now we'll come back to Carson City for neutral testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and committee members. Joe Harrington, Communications Director for NDOT, for the record, HARRINGTON. Just wanted to put on the record, we thank Assemblywoman Mosca for working very closely with NDOT and Clark County to get the language of this bill right. It was very important to us that this bill would be fiscally neutral to the state highway fund, but at the same time still directs those limited dollars that we do have in a more targeted way so that hopefully our cleanups and also connecting homeless individuals with assistance in Clark County can be more effectual. So thank you so much for your consideration.
And thank you for joining us. And thank you for working closely with the assembly member. With that, anybody else wishing to come forward in the neutral position? Seeing none, Assemblymember Mosca, any closing remarks? No, she is good to go. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend. We'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 263. And next, if I see Assemblymember De Silva, yes, I do, we'll open up the hearing on Assembly Bill 269. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good morning, Chair Flores, or good afternoon, Chair Flores, Vice Chair Orenshaw, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Assemblymember Ruben De Silva, and I proudly represent District 28 in beautiful North and East Las Vegas. I am proud to present AB 269 this morning alongside UNLV, and I believe Leo Benavidez is there in Las Vegas. Should be in the room there somewhere. And also with me today is Dr. Sarah Hunt, who is in Las Vegas, and also who should be here today, who may be running into the building to join us, as we begin this presentation, will be Erica Jimenez from the Treasurer's Office. The mission of Be Here NV is to increase the number of behavioral health care providers in Nevada, which is what we hope to accomplish with AB 269 by increasing the professions eligible for loan forgiveness through the Nevada Health Equity and Loan Assistance Program in underserved areas of the state. The Nevada HEAL program was created back during the 2023 legislative session with the passage of AB 45. That bill established a student loan repayment for providers of healthcare in underserved communities program and is housed in the State Treasurer's Office for the purpose of increasing and retaining healthcare professionals in Nevada. In the original version of the bill, the list of healthcare providers as defined by the bill included some of the professions you see in this bill, such as licensed marriage and family therapists and alcohol drug counselors, as well as certified problem gambling counselors. However, in the final version of the bill, these professions were not included. Given the federally recognized mental health professional workforce shortages in our state, I thought it imperative to work with UNLV to offer this student loan repayment program to licensed marriage and family therapists, alcohol, drug, and problem gambling counselors, and ABA therapists, among others, to encourage their retention in Nevada. I will now turn things over to Dr. Hunt in Las Vegas to talk a little bit about the work of Be Here Nevada and why these professions need to be included in Nevada Heal. Dr. Hunt, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Sarah Hunt, S-A-R-A-H-U-N-T, and I am the Executive Director of Be Here Nevada, and I'm also a psychologist by training. Be Here Nevada is a designated behavioral health workforce development center under the Nevada System of Higher Education that was created in the 2023 legislative session through Assembly Bill 37. Be Here Nevada is a statewide initiative committed to recruitment, education, retention, and ongoing support of Nevada's behavioral health workforce. With regards to retention, the creation of student loan repayment programs for healthcare professionals is an important tool to encourage our students, graduates, and providers to remain in Nevada and care for our communities. Be Here Nevada promotes national and state-level student loan repayment programs to students and professionals. Marriage and family therapists and alcohol, drug, and gambling counselors provide much-needed mental health and substance abuse treatment throughout our state as healthcare providers. As such, their inclusion in the Nevada Heal program gives us one more opportunity to encourage their retention in the state and recognize their important contributions to behavioral health care. We also support the inclusion of applied behavior analysts in the amendment, as well as the other allied health and public health professionals. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Ruben De Silva for the record. I also wanted to invite Mr. Leo Benavides from UNLV to share a few thoughts on why this is important legislation.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, members of the Committee on Senate Government Affairs. For the record, Leonardo Benavides, Director of State Government Affairs and Communication with UNLV. I just want to note, we want to thank the Treasurer's Office for working hard with us through the first house, where we amended and added other specialties as well, speech language pathologists, physical therapists. I believe we will also have an amendment in for occupational therapists, and then also public health professionals. We appreciate that coming from the UNR School of Public Health as well. We obviously thought these are very important professions because we have quite the lack and need throughout the state here. I believe I just saw Mr. Eric Jimenez come in, so if he would like to add a few words as well, I will pass it back to him.
Thank you, Mr. Benavides. Mr. Chair, Eric Jimenez with the Treasurer's Office. For the record, sorry I'm a little bit late. I tried to get it right on time, but I missed it by a minute. But here on behalf of the Treasurer's Office, we're really proud that the Assemblyman has worked with us so well. I would say this program just announced its awardees today. 67 providers in our rural and underserved communities. We'll have more to announce about this next week, but we think it's great that AB 269 expands the provider types eligible for this bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
And in closing, Ruben De Silva for the record, in closing our initial presentation here, I just also wanted to highlight the amendment that has been put into this bill. It's added occupational therapists. And also, we are looking at adjacent sort of geographies too. So we have designated zones that are high needs, socioeconomically, more towards the economically challenged areas. This bill would also allow folks who are working near those areas to also qualify for the loan repayment program. And with that, we stand ready for questions.
Thank you, and to all your co-presenters, thank you for all the work you're doing with students. With that, we'll hand it off to Senator Neal for questions.
So I know that the fund that this is associated with is the abandoned property fund, but the way this is set up at the 2.5 million every year, but each I guess career is eligible, or person is eligible for 120,000, right? So I mean, let's just do simple math, right? So based on the existing list that you already have, and then this list and the amendment, how do you expect to really cover all of these professions with the 2.5 million every single year? Has that abandoned account increased?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I'm so glad you asked it. Yes, you're correct that the statute does allow for a transfer every year of $2.5 million. We went through a robust kind of public engagement and regulatory process, and this is outlined in the regulation. There's kind of two pieces here. One, on a certain date each year, we're kind of publishing these in cohorts. So because we have dedicated annual funding, the program will open, let's call it in January or February each year for new applications. We received 881 applications for this cohort. So tremendous demand, right? I don't think anybody would say that, you know, $2.5 million is enough there. But we do feel comfortable that having the dedicated appropriation is meaningful and can get, again, 67 providers for this first year. When we make commitments, the statute is structured as 5 years of commitment. So somebody who gets awarded the program, we pay that out 20% at a time. So if you're a doctor, you would be eligible for the $120,000. You would get $24,000 in the first year, $24,000 in the second year, in the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year. And we have an actuarial model that kind of breaks those funds out year over year. Right now, we are planning on allocating just over a little bit over $1 million a year per cohort, and that keeps the program sustainable when we think about investment income and things like that. We have a sliding scale methodology, which is published on our website in accordance with the regulation, and that can kind of move over time as we start to see need in communities. So if we start to see, social workers are having a higher debt to income ratio, we can adjust that amount. So doctors and kind of higher debt professions are eligible for the full amount, and then we kind of move down the scale for ones that have degrees that don't have such a student loan burden. I hope that was a long way of answering your question.
No, it was good because you opened the door for a second question. Then I have. Sorry. When you talk about the degree cost, what is the degree cost? Because when I looked up, well, actually, staff looked up the problem gambling counselor. They can get up to, I believe, a master's, if not even. Was it a doctorate on there? It had a doctorate too. So when we talk about the degree cost, what is the cost that you have considered when you're adding all of these into this? And I know that based on your example, the way that the payment structure is, it's not an immediate drop, right? It's in arrears, and then it's kind of payment over the cycle of 5 years. But, I mean, law students aren't in here, or law degrees aren't in here, but hey, I really want to know, like, what's the cost of each of those degrees?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Eric Jimenez for the record. I think it's a great question, something I might have to get back with staff on. But I would say we went through a robust analysis, not with the new professions in this bill, but with the existing professions that we had under statute when we went through the regulatory process. And we kind of factored in two main considerations. One, what is the average loan burden for that degree type? We have that information. I don't have it in front of me, but I would tell you for most of these provider types, it is astronomically high. Some provider types like dentists, it's in the $300,000 range just to become a dentist. And then we factored in a secondary factor of average income for that profession. So when we look at the different types of social worker categories, we know that they have a relatively high loan burden amount, but they also have a relatively low income within that. So then we applied a weighted score among those. So we were taking into consideration that, yes, sometimes physicians have large loan burdens, but then they have the potential to earn a high amount of income, right? So we're trying to balance this. I don't think there's ever a right answer on this, and I think it's really important that we structured the regulatory work so those things can change year over year. So we just got our first cohort back. We'll be publishing some data next week. I think we're gonna learn a lot from that, and if we need to make adjustments, happy to make adjustments. And then if this bill moves forward or some of the other proposals that are proposing to amend this program move forward, we would do that same analysis on those provider types.
I just have one final question. So in that data, happy to see, does the data take into account how each one of those professions impacted those census tracts that are in these underserved communities? So what I would be looking for, right, if the program is set aside for underserved communities that have been impacted by discrimination, redlining, et cetera, we should see demographics, right? We should also see some health correlations with that demographic profile, because if they got money to get their, whether or not it's $24,000 or not, to pay off their loans, and they're working in underserved communities, whether or not it's in the rurals or in historic West Side, East Side, North Las Vegas, we should see direct impact to those relationships in those communities. Is that in that report?
Well, I think since the, Eric Jimenez for the record, I think the awards were just announced, so we don't have that data to collect yet, but I think we are looking forward to collecting as much data as possible. In addition to my time as in the Treasurer's Office, I was also the advisory chair for the Nevada Commission on Minority Health and Equity, and I can't agree with you more on the importance of that data. I would say the one thing that we did look for in the scoring process, so we got 881 applications in the first cohort. We have a scoring rubric that's also part of the regulation that takes into account a number of different things. Are you the only certain provider type within a 50-mile radius? Or are you the only optometrist in Battle Mountain or the 50-mile surrounding radius? How many Medicaid patients are you serving? Are you serving 0% Medicaid patients? You'd get scored less. If you're serving 100% Medicaid patients or CHIP eligible patients, you get scored higher. Are you serving individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities? You get scored higher. Do you speak a different language that's kind of needed in the community that you serve? So we're taking into consideration a number of factors. I'm really excited to dig into the data, and as we have a year's worth of data to look at outcomes, to look at those provider types, but we don't have that data today.
Should this bill, I'm amending your bill. No, but should this bill add some more prescription there? You mentioned the Office of Minority Health, right? And they do a lot of work in this, in just generally on minority health. But I think the data would be helpful across several data points, right? When we talk about, you know, not just loss of the actual or shortages, but the impact in those communities. And so is there a need to prescribe what we really should be seeing so the Office of Minority Health, Medicaid, can actually really tell the story about how conjunctively programs are working to solve the issue, right, of health concerns in minority communities?
Ruben De Silva for the record. Thank you for that question, Senator Neal. I think that's a great suggestion, and I'm willing to work with the other stakeholders and yourself to actually put that sort of language in here. So maybe when we do pass this bill next session and every session thereafter, we could have some sort of a reporting on how this expansion of professions is impacting the socioeconomically designated areas that we're looking to have an impact in.
Just so you know, Assemblymember, when Senator Neal brought up the issue of adding lawyers, all the lawyers in the room got really excited. All right, so now there might be an expectation to add lawyers in there.
Hey, Ruben De Silva for the record. Hey, look, I believe in free education for all. If you got to go ahead and make medical school, law school free for all, I am with it, and I will say that on the record. Thank you.
Senator Daley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and for the record, we got plenty of lawyers. So I have two questions, actually. So we're going to include public health professionals now on this. So what's defined as part-time? Like, I get to work 2 hours and get his loans paid, or what? Is there any definition on what part-time is? I know full-time, I'm thinking 40 hours a week. Is there any criteria or minimum on part-time?
Great question, Senator Daley. Eric Jimenez with the Treasurer's Office for the record. So much of the public health worker language that you see here, we spent a lot of time on the Assembly side in processing that amendment and kind of encapsulating what that means. In our conversations with LCB Legal, during that amendment process, they had identified that that would be something that would need to be clarified, both from a who is eligible from a public health worker perspective, but also that part-time designation would need to go through the regulatory process, which I believe you were part of last time when we promulgated those regulations for the program. I think it was last year or earlier in the year. So I'm more than committed to defining that and tightening it up, but always,
What are
value
you
your
thinking
input.
it is?
Well, I think right now, you have to be doing full-time, so to be eligible for the program today, you have to be doing full-time clinical practice in an underserved community. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be doing 100% of your time within an underserved community. You can move among locations, but according to our scoring rubric as it is developed today, if you're doing 100% in a low-income census tract in East Las Vegas, you would get scored higher on that applicant pool. And we saw that. So I'm happy to share the data next week, but the bulk of our recipients are in Clark County and I think the communities that we would expect. But as of right now, we're committed to making sure that people are working full-time. I'm kind of grappling with what part-time could mean and how we do that in the regulatory environment. But I think our goal here is to make sure that we're getting people who are committed to serving these communities each and every day.
And then, thank you for that part, so we'll look for something in regulation, or you guys will tighten it up now, I don't know which, but, or just eliminate it. So based on the other question that was asked, and you said you had 800 and some applicants, obviously everybody's not getting something, and you have your matrix and you give out as much as you can, based on all of those deals. And we've talked here about several times, everybody said underserved community, and I believe that designated by the census tract, right, on what that means. And I know the bill references existing statute 26 U.S. Code 42 D5B2, right? So I looked that up, and so I have a concern now, because how are consensus tracts drawn? Do they say, as long as I'm meeting this, they just keep making it bigger and bigger until I get to a portion or another tract that would say, hey, if I make it this big and include this next neighborhood, I go over, so I'm gonna draw the line here, or they're all smaller tracts that I'm only gonna make them so big, and, Battle Mountain is one, and Lovelock is one. I'm just using examples, I don't know if they qualify or not. But when you put the words in, or a census tract that is directly adjacent thereto, seems to me, depending on how they draw them, that you now are expanding people to be able to serve in places that are not underserved communities. And I would have a problem with that, because now instead of your 800, you're gonna make me double it or whatever, and people can say, I don't need to go to that underserved community, I can just go to this one, because it's adjacent to underserved communities, and still be eligible. Are you seeing the problem with that definition? I have a problem with it. I don't think that it is going to help get people into the underserved communities.
Yeah, great question, Senator, and we've been grappling with this one, and I don't know that this is the best way to address this, but here's the problem we are trying to solve. To answer the first part of your question, census tracts, low-income census tracts are designated by the Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So that's a federal process. I'm sure there's a robust analysis in what goes into that, but we're largely looking at the median income within those census tracts. I'm sure LCB can help, understand the exact mechanics of that. We felt it was important to point to those because there are federal kind of designations within those, and there's another data source, so we're not just picking areas and things like that.
The criteria is 50% or more of the households have an income of less than 60% of the median gross income, or a poverty rate of at least 25%. So when they draw the tracts, that's what they're figuring, that's what they look at, that's gonna say, this is the census tract under 42 DB, whatever it was, right? So now if I'm saying, I draw the census tract and I say, well, I got this group and that's a census tract. If the adjacent census tract is already one of those, and then you can say, well, eventually you're going to get to a tract that's adjacent to one of these areas that is not meeting that criteria. And now I can go to that area that's not underserved or doesn't meet this census criteria and still practice there, apply for your grant, not serving the people it's targeted towards. You got to get rid of that language. It's not going to work.
Senator, if Eric Jimenez, if I could answer the question. We saw with our 881 applications, particularly in Las Vegas, that some organizations, there's a Planned Parenthood facility, this program does prioritize sexual and reproductive providers of healthcare, that was directly on the other side of a street of a low-income census tract. So if the provider is only practicing there, we cannot serve that provider. And this happens in Las Vegas, just like if you're on one side of Charleston, you might be just out, you could be serving the same patient population in the adjacent census tract, but because you're on the other side of the street. So that's the problem we're getting to. I think we are totally open to, if you might be on an adjacent census tract, but can demonstrate that you're serving that same low-income population, we just don't want to penalize people because they happen to practice at a place that's across the street. I don't know if this is the most elegant way to solve that problem, but that's what we're trying to solve for.
Yeah, Ruben De Silva for the record. That's a really good question, Senator. And, I did look into this when the amendment was actually proposed about this census tract language. And there were certain areas in town where we saw this clearly. Charleston is one example. Another one is Craig in North Las Vegas, where you have a tract south of the street that is designated here to the law, and the north of it you would be a provider outside of the area, but you're still serving, for sure, without no question, a significant amount of population that came from that census tract. So really, the language here was to be a little bit more permissive and to allow those sort of facilities that were close, but just outside of the area. But I do understand your point about, how far do you get away before you're in an area that's no longer serving the population that we're looking to serve here with this bill. So I think we can take a look at that. I think that some of the, and this is why I was looking over my shoulder to make sure Eric was here, because they're doing robust work in this arena. I mean, they have a lot of data, and I think having the language in here about coming in and presenting in subsequent sessions is good, and we could probably have that into the bill, amended into the bill. But they do, I think, have a solid sort of way of tracking and knowing where exactly the actual served populations are coming to that specific facility. And if you do have professionals, as outlined in this bill, who are working in those facilities, who are outlined specifically, expressly in this legislation, whether you're a substance abuse counselor, occupational therapist, so on and so forth, then we could actually make that judgment through the Treasurer's office.
And thank you, if I can, Mr. Chair. I hear what you're saying. You're right on the line. It's just like any one of our districts, right? Across the street, I represent, the other side, nope, I don't. There's always going to be that line somewhere. I think we could live with it, or I can't speak for anybody else, if you could say, rather than you're in an adjacent census tract, that they can demonstrate that they're serving a majority of people that would be from an underserved, one of the tracts that meet that, the majority of the patients, or whatever criteria you put in. But I'm telling you, and you've heard me say this before, I know the chair has, is I understand your intent. I understand, well, this is what we think it means. I understand you're telling me this is what we were intending to hit. What I'm telling you is, though, if I'm in that adjacent tract, doesn't matter if I'm right across the street serving a majority of that population. I can be all the way over a mile or two away, or 10 miles away in an affluent area of town, but I'm still in that one tract or adjacent to it. What do the words say? I don't care what the intent is, right? So I think you got to tighten that up. Otherwise, I think you're defeating the whole program, expanding it far beyond the original intent. But if you got to something that said there's evidence to substantiate that they're serving the members of that census tract, or a majority of it, I could probably live with that. But just adjacent, what do the words say? It says adjacent, that means I can be anywhere in that next census tract. And you expanded it, because either you're in one or you aren't in one. And adjacent means I don't have to be in one. And then all of the adjacent tracts all the way around the whole state, going to be a problem.
Sounds good. And I'm sure it's something we can continue to work on offline. We still got some time, and it sounds like it's something we can address quickly. Yeah, absolutely. Senator Krasner, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. So just some of the other comments have spurred a question. The list is growing and continuing to expand. And for some reason, I thought that the original intent of this loan repayment was because we had a medical doctor shortage in the state of Nevada, and specifically the underserved areas. But I'm wondering if legal could let us know the history of this fund, please?
Thank you. For the record, this is Heidi Clarkson with the Legal Division. I would have to go back and research the the history of these sections in this program. I believe that the list that is currently in statute, it applies to providers of healthcare beyond just medical doctors, optometrists, ideologists, podiatrists, psychologists, perfusionists, pharmacists. So there, social workers, there is already, in the current law, I believe a list that is beyond doctors. I can research when exactly or how the list has developed over time. This committee did consider SB 266 earlier this session, where it expanded the list of providers to include marriage and family therapists and clinical alcohol and drug counselors, or licensed or certified alcohol and drug counselors. And those, I believe, are also included in this bill. So it's a policy decision really for the legislature, who the legislature thinks should be eligible for this program. And if the legislature wants to expand the list in this bill, again, through the provisions of SB 266 or in some other way.
Ruben De Silva for the record. And again, I'm sorry, Senator.
I'm sorry, I just had a question for her. Do you know when this started? What year this started? This repayment for healthcare providers who serve in underserved communities? Thank you.
I can answer the question if you want.
Please.
Thank you. Eric Jimenez with the Treasurer's Office for the record. So this program was made possible through the passage of AB 45 from the 2023 session. So it was just established by the last legislative session, the last legislature, and we're just seeing our first cohort of awards. So you may be, Eric Jimenez for the record, there is a program that's offered out of the UNR School of Medicine. That's a statewide program called the Nevada Health Service Corps that also, through AB 45, has dedicated federal match funding through the Unclaimed Property Trust account. That program has existed for a long time, but it is much more restrictive than this program, and there's some federal components to that.
Thank you. That was the one I was thinking of.
And Ruben De Silva for the record. And also, Senator, that is a good question. You know, I know that some of the discussion around the HEAL Act last session, there was talk of having the marriage and family therapists, the addiction counselors, substance abuse counselors, and they were eventually not put into the bill. But again, from our conversations with the Treasurer's Office, that there was monies available where we could actually look at adding them on this session and potentially even expanding to a few other professions. Now we have occupational therapists too, who are also being amended onto the bill. So again, this is my sort of perspective with some resonance and some consultation from UNLV, from UNR, from the Treasurer's Office as well, that the monies are there and that we would be able to expand this and still be fiscally sound in regards to making sure that the tuition reimbursement program the monies were being dispersed, and that it was making an impact in those local jurisdictions that we're trying to target here.
All right, members, any additional questions? Vice Chair, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the co-presenters. My question has to do with Section 7 of the bill. I'm looking at page 5. It starts at line 29, and if you go down actually to line 36, it says the state treasurer shall adopt regulations prescribing the procedures and standards in addition to those prescribed regarding the eligibility of someone for the repayment of student education loans. I just wondered, currently, the way the system works under current law, if someone has qualified for maybe another repayment program through a federal program, or maybe there's some program through their alma mater, anything like that, how would that affect their being able to qualify for any repayment under this?
Great question, Vice Chair. Eric Jimenez for the record. Currently, a person who may have received another type of loan repayment, whether that's the public sector loan forgiveness program, the health service corps kind of loan forgiveness program, could be eligible to receive under this program. However, under our adopted scoring rubric that we have, we ask the question, have you been accepted for or received other student loan repayment, from other types of programs? And if you have, you are scored, you don't get additional points on your application. So what we're trying to do is kind of incentivize folks who have been kind of donut holed out, for lack of a better term, of those existing programs so they could score potentially a little bit higher. But receiving other types of student loan programs, because we know these folks have lots of student loans, does not necessarily prohibit someone from receiving this program.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you again for the presentation, all four of you. I'd like to invite you to sit back in the gallery, and I'll invite those wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 269 to please come forward in Carson City and Las Vegas. We'll go ahead and start with the folk here in Carson City. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matievich, Cadence Government Affairs Liaison for Washoe County. Increasing access to behavioral health resources is a priority for Washoe County. As many members of this committee know, Washoe County has purchased a behavioral health hospital and with assistance from the state are in the process of renovating that and reopening it in an underserved community. We believe that the addition of these provider types is important to recruiting and retaining this critical workforce in our communities, and we urge your support.
Thank you. Welcome.
Afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Sabrina Schnur, Sabrina Schnur, and I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Public Health Association. As the voice for public health in Nevada, MPHA supports policy measures that build health capacity and improve the delivery of core public health services in all areas of Nevada. AB 269 will enhance these capacity building and service delivery efforts by increasing the ability of local and state public health agencies to recruit and retain public health professionals. Research undertaken by the Nevada Center for Healthcare Workforce Research at UNR School of Medicine has documented persistent, widespread shortages of healthcare workers. Shortages that impede access to healthcare for thousands of Nevadans, despite significant gains in health insurance coverage over the past decade. The center has also documented shortage of public health professionals in Nevada, including but not limited to health educators, epidemiologists, biostatisticians, and public health nurses working in local, regional, and state public health departments. Policy analysis undertaken by the center has documented the effective role that loan repayment programs play in keeping professionals in Nevada. AB 269 increases the impact of the existing Nevada HEAL program by expanding loan repayment eligibility to health professionals working in government public health agencies, agencies that struggle to recruit and retain workforce needed to address our state's enduring public health challenges. In summary, NPHA fully supports AB 269, which will enhance state and local efforts to promote and protect all healthy Nevadans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
Welcome.
Chair Flores and members of the committee. My name is Carissa Pierce, Carissapearce, and I represent Children's Advocacy Alliance. We are a nonpartisan, independent organization supporting children in Nevada, and we are in strong support of AB 269. Right now, too many families are struggling to find mental health services for their children, especially in rural and underserved areas. Nevada consistently ranks very low among the worst states for access to youth with mental health care needs. And without action, this crisis will continue. By passing AB 269, Nevada has the opportunity to attract new providers, support existing professionals, and prioritize the well-being of children and families in our most vulnerable communities. We appreciate the opportunity to provide testimony and urge your support for this important legislation.
And thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Nicole Flangus, Nicoleflangas, and today I'm here in support of AB 269 on behalf of two clients. First, the American Physical Therapy Association, the Nevada chapter, thanks the bill sponsor for adding PTs, and we're here in strong support. On behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards, so all the trustees across the state, there is a great shortage in ABA providers and other healthcare providers that help our students in our schools. So we're in strong support of this measure that would bring more of those providers out to those areas, and we thank the sponsor.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, Senate Government Affairs Committee, Victoria Supple, SUPPLE, here on behalf of Southern Nevada Health District and special today, Northern Nevada Public Health. The Southern Nevada Health District supports AB 269, which includes public health professionals in the student loan repayment program. This will help address staffing gaps in critical areas, ultimately improving access to care, enhanced delivery of public health services, and improves community health outcomes throughout our state. Thank you. We urge your support on this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. For the sake of brevity, we are also in support of AB 269 for all of the reasons you've just heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair Flores, members of the committee. Austin Daly on behalf of the University of Nevada, Reno. For the record, the university is in support of AB 269 as it helps to expand the program into the student loan repayment plan and help increase workforce development opportunities for individuals heading into the healthcare workforce and other fields. The university also has the only problem gambling and drug and alcohol counseling program with a training clinic that helps students achieve certification and licensure before they graduate, helping to offer real-world experience to students. I want to thank Assignmember De Silva for bringing this bill forward, and thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Sarah Adler, representing Vitality Unlimited, which is a provider of residential treatment, substance use disorder services, as well as certified community behavioral health centers across rural Nevada. So I'm here to stake a claim for the bill as it was originally written. The first professions added to this outstanding loan repayment program were licensed and certified alcohol and drug counselors, and then the gold standard, which is LCADCs. There is a critical need for these professions, for all of these professions, but for these in particular throughout our state in rural and low-income areas, because if you can treat substance use disorder, you can prevent health impacts other places in that person's life and reduce healthcare costs. The other great thing you can do is family preservation. So the fact that this program is now available to the alcohol and drug community is outstanding. I want to say in reference to Senator Neal's very appropriate concern about impact, there's another bill this session, SB 300, and what it does is put into statute that LADCs may practice through our federally qualified health centers, the health organizations that are serving, our lowest income Nevadans. So this is a win-win. We appreciate the sponsor and encourage your support. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, Vice Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. My name is Wesley Harper. I am the Director of Government Affairs for the City of North Las Vegas. We agree with the comments of Ms. Adler. The city is in support of this bill. We thank the sponsor for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we have anybody else in Carson City. We'll go to Las Vegas.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education. NCHE is in strong support of AB 269. By helping to reduce financial burden, this legislation encourages more of our NCHE graduates to stay and serve Nevada's underserved communities. We'd like to thank Assemblymember De Silva for bringing this legislation forward that strengthens Nevada's healthcare workforce. Thank you.
And thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Nana Kim, Nanakim. I am with One APIA Nevada, a grassroots organization dedicated to empowering Asian American, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in Nevada. I'm here to express strong support for AB 269, which expands student loan repayments assistance to include licensed speech language pathologists, physical therapists, and counselors. As a student nurse and oncology medical assistant, I have seen firsthand how essential these providers are, especially in the underserved communities. In the oncology department, I've witnessed the critical roles they play, not only in delivering care, but also in offering hope, comfort, and continuity to patients facing some of the most challenging moments of their lives. I have also known some talented students in these fields who want to help the underserved community consider leaving Nevada for higher paying opportunities elsewhere, simply to manage the burden of overwhelming student loan debt. By providing meaningful student loan repayment support to these providers, this bill removes a major barrier. It allows healthcare professionals to make career decisions based on passion and purpose, not financial strain. AB 269 is a powerful step forward. It supports the healthcare workforce, and more importantly, the countless patients and families who depend on accessible and high-quality care. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Ryan McInerney, spelled McInerney. I'm here today on behalf of Nevada State University in support of AB 269. Many of our students not only come from the areas described under this bill, but they often wish to return to those areas to help their community. This bill makes that goal a little bit easier. This bill is a significant step forward in addressing the critical shortages of healthcare providers in underserved areas of Nevada, and ensures that a broader range of providers will be available to those who need them most. Thank you.
And thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Cyrus Ojati, Hojjaty. I support this bill because it tackles our student loan debt crisis. We like to appreciate the sponsor for this bill. This crisis is really affecting our economy. I was gonna try to bring this up in a public comment another time. It's a huge, huge crisis. More and more people need to be talking about this. This loan is not like any other loan, like car loans, home loans. The interest payments are insane. $10,000 you borrow, you pay back something like $40,000. So we appreciate you addressing this issue, and forgive me to be a little off topic, but please next time set a specific time on your meetings. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Just for everybody's reminder, we're on deadlines, and in order for us to hear 7-10 bills in a day, we can't do a 3:30 p.m. start time, because then we'll be stuck here till midnight. So in the interest of giving everybody an opportunity to be heard, we have to start times earlier. I do understand that it's frustrating because you may expect a 3:30 p.m. start time, and then all of a sudden you see it at 1 o'clock, but that's not intentional. We only do that to accommodate all the voluminous amount of hearings that we have to try to make work. Please, next person.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, members of the committee. My name is Joelle McNutt, and I am the Executive Director for the State of Nevada Board of Examiners for Marriage and Family Therapists and Clinical Professional Counselors. And I thank you for your time today. I'm paraphrasing now NRS 641A.080. And this is the scope of practice for marriage and family therapy, means the diagnosis and treatment of mental and emotional disorders. It includes rendering of professional therapy services. This scope of practice is on par with the other behavioral public health professions, specifically clinical professional counselors, named in the definitions of this law. It is important to our board that both professions that we regulate be represented and are eligible to participate in the student loan repayment for providers of healthcare in underserved communities program. The board is in support of this bill. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for joining us. I don't see anybody else in support in Las Vegas or Carson City. We'll go to the phone lines for support testimony on Assembly Bill 269.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 269, please press star 9 now.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. My name is Megan Kamwasi. I am the Director of Public Affairs and Policy for the University of Nevada, Reno School of Public Health. And my name is Megan, last name Comlossy. I'm here today in strong support for Assembly Bill 269 and want to express gratitude to the bill sponsor, the Treasurer's Office, and our partners at UNLV for including public health in this bill. Public health professionals are an essential but often overlooked component of the broader healthcare workforce, and extending eligibility for loan repayment to those outlined in the bill will strengthen the state's public health infrastructure. It'll support workforce retention and also improve health equity, reduce health disparities, and help meet critical individual and community health needs. So again, thanks for considering this bill and your continued commitment to advancing health and safety for all in Nevada.
And thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Allison Herzik, last name spelled Herzik, and I'm the Director of Nevada Government Relations for Dignity Health St. Rose Dominican. In the interest of time, I will just say that we are in support of the bill and want to thank Assemblyman DeSilva for bringing this forward. Thank you.
And thank you. Next caller in support, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Stephen Cohen for the record. Just want to point out, extremely excited to see ABA providers in the bill and happy to be part of the conversation to tighten up anything that was of concern to the committee. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in support.
Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Adrienne Renwick, and for the record, I am a teaching associate professor in the School of Public Health in CASAT at the University of Nevada, Reno. I teach courses specifically designed for students training to be addiction counselors. I also have 10 years of experience working in rural Nevada, specifically Story and Lyon counties, as a licensed clinical professional counselor and licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor. I'm here today to testify in support of Assembly Bill 269 and Amendment number 13. I strongly support the inclusion of public health professionals, problem gambling counselors, physical therapists, marriage and family therapists, clinical alcohol drug counselors, and behavior analysts into this program. I'd like to highlight the importance of including marriage and family therapists in this legislation. Clinical professional counselors and social workers were previously added to this program, yet MFTs were inexplicably left out. This omission is confusing given that MFTs have the same scope of practice as those other professionals and share similar educational requirements as CPCs. In fact, MFTs and CPCs have the same licensing board. I also want to emphasize the critical role that clinical alcohol and drug counselors and gambling counselors play in Nevada's behavioral health infrastructure. These addiction specialists are on the front lines of our state's addiction crisis, yet they are often the lowest paid professionals within the behavioral health workforce. Despite requiring specialized education training, certification, or licensure, addiction counselors frequently earn salaries that make it nearly impossible to manage their student loan debt. This financial reality creates significant barriers to recruitment and retention, exacerbating the shortage of these important providers. I thank you for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in support.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in support of AB 269. If you'd like to testify in support, please press star 9 or raise hand in your Zoom window. Chair, you have no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 269, either in Carson City or Las Vegas. Seeing no, I just wanted to make sure. I saw somebody get up. Wanted to make sure they weren't coming up. Seeing none coming forward, we'll go to the phone lines in opposition to Assembly Bill 269.
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 269, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Kimberly Fergus, FERGUS. This one's a tough one. I had changed my script so many times. However, I oppose AB 269. This bill seeks to expand the student loan repayment program to include a broad range of professions under the guise of serving underserved communities. However, we need to question whether the state should continue extending this program or if it's time to consider reducing its scope. Occupational therapists, if you're in a your entity, your tuition's can be as low as $7,000 a year. And if you're at a private university, it can be $33,500. You guys wanted the numbers of how much the tuitions were? Well, I looked it up. You even want marriage counseling and even gambling counseling. Well, I think there's Al-Anon for gambling. I don't mean to be harsh. Even if these professions occur significant educational costs ranging from $67,000 to over $100,000 in tuition alone, while the original intent of the program was to alleviate loan burdens for critical healthcare providers in severely underserved areas, this bill stretches the definition so far that it risks diluting the impact and effectiveness of the program. If we expand the scope to adjacent census tracts and include every profession remotely connected to health or public health, it'll be smarty, we may as well forgive every student in Nevada. That was never the intent, and it shouldn't be now. We need to ensure that taxpayer-funded programs are narrowly targeted to address real acute shortages in essential healthcare services. I strongly urge you to vote no on AB 269. Let's focus on the original purpose and retain the integrity of the program. Thank you. Have a good day.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition to Assembly Bill 269.
Hi, my name is Katrin Ivanov, Ivanoff. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. As the previous caller, I was going back and forth on that bill because there are aspects of the bill that I like and aspects that I don't like. So by the rules, I have to oppose it. I will do what the previous caller say. We need to prioritize one repayment for truly critical healthcare providers. Not every profession that could lose the title healthcare service. This program is becoming a catch-all loan forgiveness scheme rather than a targeted solution for underdeserved communities. I strongly urge no vote on the AB 269 the way it is written at the moment. Please go back to the drawing board and bring us a better bill that we all would like. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Yolanda Knock, Yolanca, last name Knaak. I agree with the last two callers. I'm opposed to this bill. Expanding it is not in favor of the best interest of Nevada. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Good afternoon. This is Tammy Romo, Tamiromo. I want to thank the two senators, Senator O'Neill and the gentleman who were asking all the questions. It was really good to have them think outside the bill and really ask some pretty serious questions that needed to be answered. With that, though, I still think that this bill is opening a can of worms that doesn't need to be open. I think it's unfair for other professions that they don't get their student loans repaid, because everybody that is going to college has a career, and that career helps in some aspect of the community. Most of them do. And if these people who are actually going to the nursing school really want to help people, hopefully, with their heart, they'll be working in those kind of communities anyways. Now, as far as the schools go, yes, I agree with Kimberly Fergus that those schools do not need to charge as much as they do. Would it be, imposing infliction on how they run their business? Yeah, but it is kind of crazy how much they charge. I also know that people who have gone to nursing school, that they purposely limit the number of students that they teach. Why are they doing that? Because that in turn causes a shortage on those professions. So we need to get more to the root cause and fix the root cause instead of having a repayment plan, or maybe do like a scholarship or a grant. I think Senator O'Neill had mentioned the word grant, but I don't think the bill actually mentions the word grant. I think it says repayment. So, reward those students that have gone through the system and have gotten good grades and really are going to be an asset to the community and an asset to the underserved communities. And while the bill is very well intended, we can't support everything and everyone. We just can't. and there's money disappearing places. And, what about the teachers? They were getting paid higher to work in those underserved communities. And then the teachers have already been working there. They got upset and it was just causing problems. So I know it's well intended, but I'm going to say no and oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
I'm sorry, this is Susan. I just want to know if I can do for the bill. I'm sorry, my network was really bad. So I don't know if I could still go for the bill.
Just for the sake of clarity, are you saying you're in support of the bill?
I'm in support of the bill.
Okay, please state your name for the record, and we'll move your testimony to support.
Okay, okay, thank you. So I'm Dr. Susan Fung, but last name Fung. I support the bill because I'm a licensed provider in the state of Nevada. And right now I'm back in school to look for something else because the pay and what we have for loan does not match at all. And I understand some people do this like nurses. What we don't understand is especially for the mental health, we need a minimum of master's degree to do the work that we do. So there's a lot of student loans to be able to help our community. So bills like this support the work and to bring more people, losing so many of our colleagues to different states. So things like this will encourage more people to want to do and stay in the field, do the work that we were meant to do for our community. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. We'll stay on the phone line. Is there anybody wishing to join us over the phone in the neutral position to Assembly Bill 269?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 269, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Thank you. Anybody wishing to testify in the neutral position, Carson City or Las Vegas on AB 269? Seeing none, Assemblymember De Silva, any closing remarks you may have?
Ruben De Silva for the record. Thank you again, Chair and Committee, for hearing this bill. I just wanted to address just a few things that came up during the discourse of this bill presentation and as well as the testimony. So first and foremost, we are as a state facing a crisis, a dearth really, when it comes to healthcare professionals working in this state, but particularly in those high need areas, what the federal government designates as socially vulnerable areas. I believe that's the term that's outlined in the federal language. So this bill helps incentivize people to work in those areas. Again, it's not a grant program, it's not a scholarship, it's a tuition reimbursement program. So somebody who already has the credentials, has received the education, we want to incentivize them to come and work and serve in these high needs areas. So that's one thing that this bill is very much focused on. It's an incentivization sort of a program. Secondly, this is why it was so crucial to have the Treasurer's Office in partnership with this bill. There was a lot of sort of debate about what are we doing? Are we expanding a small pool of money? Are we going to maybe have small disbursements of a tuition reimbursement? But that's not the actual fact of the matter here. We know that we have a fiscally sound approach. There were additional monies that were available, and we could expand the amount of professions that were eligible now for this tuition reimbursement program. That was part of the original sort of debate in AB 45 last session. I wasn't as involved with it, but that was the reason why many of these professions that are now part of the bill were not part of the original sort of legislation. So now we're adding that here with the help of the Treasurer's Office because we do have the funds available. So it's not going to put the state in any kind of a fiscal bind. And then lastly, Senators Neal and Daley, I do really appreciate your input, and we will work on an amendment and some language. I'll run that by you and the committee to make sure that it's feasible, that it's acceptable, and look at partnering with you in adopting that language. And again, thank you again for considering this bill.
Thank you, Assemblymember De Silva, for the presentation. Look forward to working alongside of you. We'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 269. And now we have Assemblymember Miller, who will be presenting Assembly Bill 278. Welcome, whenever you're ready. And Assembly members, I don't know if you saw the 200-page slideshow that she prepared for today's presentation. I hope you all got a copy of that.
Chair Flores, I did say that I cut the last 50 pages out, so. But Chair, I'd also like to thank you for adjusting your schedule because again, it's not just for legislators to be able to get out. We understand that our staff often has to stay hours after we leave, and so I appreciate it for all the hard work that they do as well and for your flexibility. So with that, yes, hello everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Flores and Vice Chair Orenshaw and all committee members and staff. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I'm Brittany Miller. I represent Assembly District 5 in Clark County. And I'm here to present Assembly Bill 278, which designates the month of July as Muslim American Heritage Month. As a little background, one of the things that I'm most excited about living here in Nevada is just about how diverse and multicultural we are. Nevada citizens represent countless backgrounds, identities, and belief systems, and it is critical for all of us to engage and embrace this wide variety of viewpoints and lived experiences in order to become more well-rounded, informed citizens. Keyword being informed. There are about 3.5 million Muslims in the United States, about 1.9 billion worldwide. That is 1 in 4 people on the planet are actually Muslim. With roots in at least 77 different countries that primarily identify as white, black, Arab, and Asian, 57 of those countries are majority Muslim nations. Muslim Americans are also a very diverse population, a tapestry of ethnic, racial, linguistic, social, and economic groups. Yet with being the second largest faith in the world, Islam is still a faith that for the most part in the United States is not fully understood. In fact, it's very misunderstood. It's facing a lot of prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, and just straight hate. This renders the community, the members of the community who are proud, determined, and resilient, feeling invisible and hated. Moreover, nearly 50% of Muslim Americans have reported experienced religious discrimination, with that number rising to 64% when Muslim Americans can be identified as such as a woman wearing a hijab or a headscarf. Hate crimes and violent crimes against members are dramatically increasing. But we are in Nevada. Nevada is the 3rd most diverse state in the country. And I have been proud of the strides that we have made, especially in this legislative body, to make sure that all Nevadans feel welcome, accepted, and included, at least protected the same under the law. So I was honored when I was asked to sponsor this bill. It is time for us to acknowledge and celebrate our Muslims here in Nevada by recognizing July as Muslim American Heritage Month, to celebrate the heritage, culture, and contributions of Muslims here in the United States as well as in Nevada. When describing, discussing, or addressing the impacts of Muslim Americans, there is a need for more public education, awareness, and policies to help people become more culturally competent on all aspects. As such, we should prioritize such opportunities to learn about the history and contributions of different cultures, which is what Assembly Bill 278 intends to do. So the bill is actually pretty basic. It states that July will be designated as Muslim American Heritage Month in the state of Nevada and requires the governor to annually issue a proclamation encouraging its observance. The proclamation may call upon the media, state and local officials, private nonprofit groups, foundations, schools, businesses, and other public and private entities to bring attention to the important contributions of Muslim Americans and Nevadans. I would love to explain the basic tenets of the faith, culture, and community, but what's important right now, especially for time, is that we understand that they are our coworkers, our neighbors, our friends, for some of us, our families, and even our electeds, as we are proud to have elected our first Muslim American here in the Nevada State Legislature this year. In closing, they are a central component of Nevada's diverse fabric. In proclaiming July as Muslim American Heritage Month, we are encouraging stakeholders across Nevada to shine a light on the invaluable contributions they make in this state and this country, while acknowledging the painful history and religious discrimination that has characterized their past and continues to taint their present. This bill provides the space for recognition, celebration, and acknowledgement. Moreover, there are over a dozen states that have already declared a Muslim American Heritage Month holiday, and even more cities and counties and other municipalities that have. We also would like to join the ranks of other months that are celebrated, including Black History Month in February, Asian and Pacific Islander Month in May, Jewish American Heritage Month also in May, and Hispanic Heritage Month, which is between the middle of September to the middle of October. And so with that, again, this is just another way to show everyone what Nevada stands for, which is to celebrate everyone here in Nevada, that we celebrate, we embrace, and we accept our diversity and inclusion here. And so with that, I urge your support on Assembly Bill 278.
Really do appreciate you reducing that 200-page slideshow. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any questions? Senator Ellison, please.
Thank you, ma'am. No disrespect, but Independence Day is July, one of the most important months of the year for our veterans. They've sacrificed everything they own, their families, their children, everything, to make Independence Day. Now, this is the third time this year I've heard where Columbus Day was chopped on and beat on and trashed, but now we're looking at Independence Day. Pick another month, pick whatever you want, but I can't support anything that's going to go against Independence Day. And the reason that is because I spent my life working for veterans and what they represent and what they done for this country. And I can't have anything tarnished. I don't care what it is. It could be Santa Claus Day. When it comes to Independence Day, I stand strong and I'll fight it to the death because I believe that I'm a patriot for this country and I'll do anything I can. I tell you, I put my wife and my family in so much danger during the 4th of July she had to put her car up for sale where we could pay for Independence Day. So no disrespect. I'm just saying that I'm going to call the line what I feel with Independence Day and what it represents. And I hope that all the people that believe in this country will go the same. But enough is enough. I mean, I believe in this country, and you believe in this country too, or you wouldn't be here. But it's not about what religion or what you do. We've got to show respect for our veterans, and that's what this is about.
Thank you so much, Senator, because I absolutely am a patriot, and I do believe in this country. And this is why I'm here. And the whole point of celebrating Independence Day, which I understand is one day, is our independence. And one of the major stories that we hear of why our independence was sought was for the freedom of religion. In fact, it was so important, it became the very first amendment to the Constitution. So the argument between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, again, they wanted to make sure that it was spelled out. So here, again, we're talking about Americans, people who also believe, also celebrate, and I'm not sure exactly why people think that one day or one group or 1 month is in competition with each other. I am also come from a very proud veteran family and background and have served veterans as well. And for the sacrifices that my families have made for fighting in the wars and those who continue to serve, I'll tell you, they all support this. So thank you so much for your comments, Senator.
Next, we'll go to Senator Neal, please.
Thank you. So I just had a question on the bill, and this is more of an educational point. So you put a lot of historical references in the bill, which I super appreciate. But can you add a little bit more around, you talked about in 1970s, the oldest mosque, and then you talked about the 1980s, the Northern Nevada Muslim community. But can you just offer us a little bit more context on why July, specifically, the entire month, is selected, and what is the correlation between the community?
Sure. Thank you so much for that question, Senator. First, I cannot take credit for the beginning of the bill. That was through research that LCB had done. And basically what they included were individuals who had actually started mosque here in Nevada. Again, I have a whole list of history and amazing statistics and facts of the Muslim community, both here in Nevada and the United States. But as Chair said, I had to cut 75 pages or so out. As for July, it is an interesting question because that was a question I had as well of the states. And also there was a congressional resolution to do this as well nationally. And so, as many people know, I'm from Michigan, and of course, Michigan is one of the largest Muslim and Arab has populations in the United States. And so the congressional resolution, as well as Michigan, had both gone for January. But the majority of other states that are doing this are going for July. So there's no necessarily correlation or anything. It was just a preference. And so I asked the community, you know, we have some of the larger states and, of course, Congress looking at January, but they also, Clark County had done this last year, and Clark County had gone along with the other states and designated July. So they were just trying to keep it consistent.
Vice Chair, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Assemblymember Miller, for bringing the bill. I guess more of a comment than a question. I mean, as you said, Nevada is one of the most diverse states in the nation, and you know, we welcome tourists from around the world to come to our state. About 25 years ago, I was very lucky to go to the dedication of the Jamia Masjid Mosque on East Desert and Nellis, and I went there with my mom, who was serving the Assembly at the time. And I remember it was so significant that I'm not sure if it was the ambassador from Pakistan to the United States or someone in their diplomatic corps was there for this very big event of the dedication of that mosque. So I appreciate the resolution, and I guess it's more of a comment than a question, but thank you very much. Thank you, Assemblymember.
Thank you, Vice. Members, any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you again for the presentation, and thank you for bringing so much history into the room today. Appreciate it. With that, I'd like to invite you to sit back, and we'll invite those wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 278. If you could please come forward, Carson City or Las Vegas. We see some folk in Las Vegas. We'll start there, and then we'll make our way back to Carson City. Good afternoon. Welcome in Las Vegas.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Medina Yusufzai, MEDINAHYUSUFZAI. I'm with One APIA Nevada as a South Asian Target Organizer, and I'm here today in strong support of AB 278. I was born and raised here in Nevada, and I'm a proud graduate of UNLV. As a Muslim American, and like many in my community, I've often felt the need to prove my identity and defend my faith, not because of anything I've done, but due to widespread misconceptions. Islam is a religion rooted in peace, compassion, and justice. Yet, we are too often defined by the worst misrepresentations of it. AB 278 is an opportunity to educate Nevadans about the rich contributions of Muslim Americans and to build bridges across interfaith communities. It's about ensuring education, context, and a sense of belonging for all of Nevadans. There is a fear that no matter how much we contribute, we will never truly be seen. That we are judged not by who we are, but by the actions of extremists whose values directly contradict our faith. In addition, geopolitical conflicts abroad are too often used to shape public perception of Muslim Americans here at home, which only adds to the misunderstanding. But AB 278 offers a powerful counter-narrative. It tells our community you are seen and your contributions matter. More importantly, it tells the broader public understanding is possible, and it begins with acknowledgement. It's an invitation to replace stereotypes with facts and to build trust where there has been distance. Passing AB 278 would mark an important step forward, not just for Muslims in Nevada, but for the values and inclusion and justice that we all share. Thank you so much for your consideration.
And thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education. And she is also in support of AB 278. We'd like to thank Assemblymember Miller for bringing this forward. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Is there anybody else in Las Vegas? Seeing none, we'll make our way back to Carson City. Welcome, whoever wishes to go first.
Good afternoon. My name is Tia Smith, TIA-SMITH. I'm a policy attorney with ACLU of Nevada. We support this bill, and we hope the committee will as well. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Flores, members of the committee. My name is Austin Daly on behalf of the University of Nevada, Reno, for the record. We are also in support of AB 278, in support of our Muslim students, faculty, and staff on campus. So I want to thank Senator Miller for bringing this bill forward. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Riley Svensson, RYLEYSVENDSEN, and I will be speaking in my personal capacity today in support of this bill. As someone raised in a Catholic household and from a military family that has proudly served this country, I believe deeply in the American values of religious freedom and cultural diversity that have strengthened our nation throughout its history. My upbringing taught me that respecting and honoring different faith traditions is not just compatible with patriotism, it is essential to it. Designating July as Muslim Heritage Month would recognize the significant contributions that Muslims have made to our state and nation since its founding. This recognition is particularly meaningful to me as someone who understands that celebrating our diverse heritage strengthens rather than diminishes our shared American identity. In my Catholic upbringing, I was taught to love my neighbor and recognize the dignity in every person. This proposed designation embodies these values by acknowledging the historical and ongoing contribution of Muslim Americans, fostering understanding across different faiths, and reaffirming our commitment to religious liberty for all. I urge you to support this important piece of legislation as an affirmation of our finest tradition of inclusion and respect. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to come forward in support of Assembly Bill 278? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. BPS, anybody wishing to join us in support over the phone?
If you would like to testify in support of AB 278, please press star 9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Thank you, Chair, and members of the committee. Elliot Mallon, for the record, on behalf of the Anti-Defamation League. We are in support of this legislation and think it's important that we recognize Nevadans of all backgrounds. First, I want to thank Assembly members Miller and Nadeem for bringing this legislation forward. Muslim Nevadans have been a vital fabric of the Nevada family for a long time. As a member of the Jewish community, it is important to us that we stand up for all, especially those who have experienced similar discrimination and hate. Moreover, Muslim Americans such as Captain Humayun Khan have fought and died for the United States and deserve the recognition as our fellow Americans. Captain Khan was killed in the war in Iraq fighting for the United States in 2004. As Assembly Member Miller said, it is currently Jewish American Heritage Month in the United States, something we are thrilled to have and celebrate, and we believe that it is important to equally celebrate our Muslim neighbors. As we say in Hebrew, v'ahavta l'recha kamocha, or to love your neighbor as yourself, and to treat others well. And this bill does just that. This session, I came here looking for recognition and policy changes that would help keep Jewish Nevadans safe, but we are also here to uplift all Nevadans, and this bill does that and helps lift another community, and we urge your support of AB 278. Thank you for your time today.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in support.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 345, please press star 6 to unmute. Again, caller with the last 3 digits of 345, you are unmuted. Please continue.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Sharifa Wahab, SHARIFA WAHAB, and I'm here to support AB 278. I came to the United States 30 years ago, and I'm proud to be a Muslim American. Over the years, I have dedicated myself to serving the Las Vegas community through my nonprofit. We help the elderly, feed the homeless, support underserved families, provide free eyeglasses, healthcare. This bill means a lot to us. It's not just about recognizing a Heritage Month. It's about recognizing the everyday contribution of Muslim Americans like me who love this country and work hard to make it better. AB 278 sends us a message that we are a part of this nation, and that's our story and our service matters. I also want to thank Assemblywoman Brittany Miller for sponsoring this important bill and for her continued support of our community. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in support, please.
Dr. Susan Fung again. This is for all my clients that are not able to be here today. My last name is Fung. So I support the bill just to show that we together, we support one another. It's not by where you come from, it's what you're giving into the community. So I support the bill. Thank you.
And thank you. Next caller in support.
Chair, you have no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Now we'd like to invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 278. If you could please come forward, Carson City or Las Vegas. I don't see anybody in Carson City, but we do have some folk in Las Vegas. Please proceed in Las Vegas.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesus Marquez. I'm the Executive Director for the American Christian Caucus, representing organizations and churches that mobilize to get involved civically in the state of Nevada. I respectfully urge you to vote no on AB 278. This bill will designate a full month, the month of July, as Muslim Heritage Month. The first time in Nevada's history that a full month will be granted for any religious identity. Yes, certain faiths have had a date recognized, but never a full month. This is a different from cultural months such as Hispanic Heritage Month, which honors diverse groups, not a specific religion. Muslim is a faith. Endorsing one religion for a month creates a dangerous precedent and violates the principles of neutrality in government. We're not here to oppose people or any religion. We're just here to defend the principle that state should not elevate one religion over others. Please vote no on AB 278. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Whoever wishes to go next in Las Vegas.
Hello, Devin Livesey, DEVIN LIVZIEY, Vice Chairman of the Clark County Republican Party. There is approximately 20 to 30,000 Muslims in Nevada. There's not an exact count. There's approximately 770,000 Catholics living in Nevada. There's approximately 89 to 90,000 Jewish individuals living in Nevada. To single out one religious group over any other groups, as was just said, states a precedent that I think is not proper. If we want to give a day, or if you want to go by region, Middle East, whatever it happens to be, that's quite a bit more acceptable. We only give our veterans a day. We give our veterans who have died in the line of service a day. I think it would be inappropriate to continue to honor our own people who have fought and died for this country and then allow any specific religion to have an entire month. For that reason, I strongly oppose this bill, and I hope that you vote the same way. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Whoever wishes to go next in Las Vegas. And I believe your microphone is off. It should turn green.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay, my name is Lisa Lemons, Lisa Lemons. Is this okay? Yeah. And so I'm just confused. This is spur of the moment for me. I'm just confused by what is going on, what is being discussed, because aren't all of you worried about the separation of church and state? We're afraid to have Christmas trees. We're afraid to have a nativity, but now we're going to pick one religion to have a whole month. I'm also confused of the lack of recognition of other religions. Why are you not recognizing the Sikhs or the Hindus, the Buddhists, many other religions? Why only one religion? And why would you consider elevating one religion over others? So I'm just confused, definitely separation of church and state. And I am definitely against this proposition.
And thank you for joining us. Please proceed in Las Vegas.
Hello, my name is Kathleen McCauley, Kathleen,
Macauley. And I do oppose AB 278. Our land was founded on Christian values. We don't have a Christian month. And it would be an outrage if it was presented. Let's keep church and state separated and not oppose our beliefs on each other. We are free to believe what we want, and please vote no on AB 278. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Cyrus Hojjati, Hojjaty. I'm not anti-Islam. Both of my parents immigrated from Iran. My uncle and my grandfather, who was a politician during the pre-revolutionary Iran, are Muslim. They pray 3 times a day. However, this bill does not represent me because I'm not Muslim. So there's kind of a concern there. I would prefer if you have a bill that would commemorate or that would essentially celebrate MENA folks, Middle Eastern, North African, a specific racial or ethnic group, or South African, as a matter of fact. The other concern I have with this bill is this pro-Muslim bill, is it just focused on Sunni, or does it also represent Shia Muslims? Because Iran is a Shia Muslim country. To be clear, I am supportive of pro-Islam architecture. Carson City's climate is very identical to Iran. I oppose all discrimination. I sympathize with the Palestinian. However, I believe this is merely pushing identity politics. Notice how there's no day or month celebrating European Americans, men, straight people, Christian, as a matter of fact. Think about it. And if we want to be so pro-Islam, food for thought, I mean, technically every casino would shut down, and we talk about diversity, that trend would actually reverse. Keep that in mind. But other than that, I urge you all to vote no. Thank you so much for allowing to express our concerns.
And thank you for joining us. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Christian Marquez. That is Krissian, Marquez, Marquez. And I am a member of the American Christian Caucus and a resident of Nevada. I sit before you today to oppose AB 278, the bill that seeks to designate July as the Muslim American Heritage Month. While we respect the contributions of all communities, establishing an official state observance for one religion sets a precedent that could lead to similar recognitions for other faiths. Nevada has not granted state-endorsed observances to other religions, and doing so now could create unnecessary division. Furthermore, placing a religion's observance in July, the month we celebrate our nation's independence, seems inappropriate and could be viewed as conflicting with the secular nature of our nation's heritage. I urge you to consider the broader implications of this bill and vote against it. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Is there anybody else in Las Vegas? Oh, I do see you. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesus Marquez. First name Jes, last name Merquez. And I'm here to testify against AB 278 because I believe that it's unfair for a whole month to be dedicated to Muslims or Christians who are the majority, along with many other religions, don't even get a day to be represented. I believe it's just unfair, and our country was founded on Christian values, and I believe that if a state were to dedicate a month to a religion, it should be Christianity, but it should most definitely not be dedicated to one religion first. So I ask that you oppose AB 278. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. I don't see anybody else in Las Vegas, so we'll come back to Carson City. Whoever wishes to go first.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Susan Rue, the chairman of the Carson City Republican Party, but I'm here as a proud American, and I deeply oppose AB 278. We have to protect our American way of life. Sweden is now paying immigrants $34,000 to go home because the immigrants do not want to assimilate into their culture. England, Germany, and France are now overrun with the Muslim faith. I appreciate the Muslims we have here in our country that do want to do the right thing, but many of them do not want to assimilate into our country. The law would allow Islam to be shared in our public schools. We don't share Christianity in our schools. What about Judaism? What about, we don't have a month for Native Americans? This past week, the mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, declared the city the fourth most holy city in the world. Paterson, New Jersey, the Mecca of America, Little Palestine, and this is the sign they have up. 4th of July is our month that we celebrate veterans and America. 15 million plus illegals were led into this country under Biden. It's suspected we have over 1,000 or more Islamic terrorists in our country. Where do you think they're hanging out? It's not a matter of when we're going to be attacked, it's just a matter of when. So please, let's think about it. We are a Judeo-Christian country. The most beautiful document ever written was our Constitution, and it's based on Judeo-Christian values. Everyone, please think about this. We need to protect our country. Please stop picking winners and losers, because you are, and vote no on AB 278. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, Senators, members of the committee. My name is Graham Barton, Graham Barton. I've been a Nevadan since 2016 and an American citizen since 2017. I am a certified Constitution coach teaching the United States Constitution to my community in my spare time. I have lived and worked in the United States since 2000, following 2 years working in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the heart of Wahhabi Islam and home to the Muslim holy cities of Mecca and Medina. To the sponsors and supporters of this bill, I say that you are telling me you hate the United States without saying you hate the United States. The very idea of a bill designating a whole month as Muslim Heritage Month is not only abhorrent to non-Muslims, but is a resounding insult to all right-thinking, patriotic Americans who are granted just a single day in that very month to celebrate the nation's birth and history. As a constitutional coach, I would also point out that it is an unconstitutional notion, violating the First Amendment's Establishment Clause, to which the states themselves are subject. Do this for Islam, and you must do it for every other faith. It would seem prudent to avoid the controversy. That said, I invite the sponsors of the bill to withdraw it, with a view to returning it to the floor of the legislature just as soon as Christian Heritage Month is approved and celebrated in Tehran, Baghdad, Kabul, Islamabad, Riyadh, Damascus, Cairo, Istanbul, Tripoli, Algiers, Tunis, Khartoum, and other Muslim capitals. I urge the legislature to listen to the people of Nevada and reject this bill. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome. And sir, I don't know if you'd like to vacate the seat just in case we have other people that would like to join us.
Penny Brock, for the record, B-R-O-C-K. I strongly oppose this bill. My great-great-great-grandfather, going back to George Washington's time of the Revolutionary War, marched behind George Washington. He had no shoes on his feet when they crossed the Delaware that winter. This is an insult to those of us with our American heritage. This is just outrageous. I find it an insult by those that introduced this bill. We are Nevadans. We are battle-born. We cherish our American heritage and we want to preserve it. We do not want any other peoples to supersede our American heritage of July 4th, and July is our American Heritage Month. I listened to the first hearing on this bill, and the Muslim co-sponsor, I'm surprised she's not here today, but she said, we really need this bill passed so we can get into public schools. We don't allow religions into our public schools, but this is where they'll go next. This cannot be allowed. This needs to stop right here. The committee, you're all Americans. Please vote no on this outrageous bill and preserve our wonderful, beautiful American heritage. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Schaefer, Kathleen. I too was here when the bill was first introduced, so I've been listening quite a bit. I've been trying to understand why this is coming forward. I also have a great love and compassion for people who come to our country. Immigrants, people who come to our country and are not assimilated. We should be helping them assimilate to our country. That's what we did in the beginning, so they do feel like they fit in. I would love to learn more about the Muslim faith and Muslim people, but they don't need to be specifically separated out. We might as well start separating everybody out with their thoughts here and a thought here and a feeling here and an idea there, and we giving them special. I would just rather that what I read in this bill, the benefits that they have brought to our Nevada to state is wonderful. That's great. And I would love to go visit those buildings that they built and everything. I would also love to participate in any little events or fundraisers or interest things that they have to help us get to know them better. But to just single this out and not have them assimilating to what we as Americans and what we fought for and died for and all that everyone has already said, I agree totally with that. I just think this is just going to put a very bad taste in the mouth. It's going to separate us more than bring us together. And I highly hope that you vote against this bill, AB 278. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome. And there's a button right beneath the microphone. It'll turn it green. There you go.
Good afternoon, and I'm Cheryl Lemke, Sheryllemke, and I oppose this bill 278, and I clearly feel and know for a fact, I believe that it would create a huge danger for every single human being, whether you're an immigrant or whether you're with any of our cultures, and because we're kind of like the mother lode of everybody, the whole world. And I've been going to England and Germany and France and stuff, but England especially. And I remember when they brought the same shebang. And I was fortunate to be able to go to East Germany when the wall came down. So I remember the separation, the black and white, and it doesn't work. People die. And when they brought the same deal to England, before England was like the hub, everybody was safe and everything. Now I've walked into the streets where the police do not go there because it's the Muslim area. There's a special area. And I have a lot of Muslim customers who I love. They would never consider asking this. That it's just like, it wouldn't even be part of their consideration. So I take great offense, despite the fact that I love the Muslim people and their culture and everything. I respect it, but I think it would bring a lot of Americans and America down. In Britain, it's smash and grab. You would trash all over. The Muslim kids, a lot of them are driving $500,000 vehicles, and the British in the same age bracket are on the streets, and it's just trash everywhere. They have thrashed the country, and it's dangerous. I've even asked some Muslim guys there if I should walk somewhere, and they're like, oh no, it's too Muslim, you will die, or you'll get acid thrown in your face. So I really do believe that it would be an endanger for our Indian communities, our Black communities, and families and friends, and everyone that we love.
And ma'am, we have hit the 2-minute mark. If you want to just do your last closing remark.
Okay. There's 4,200 religions in the world, and a lot of Muslims say that I'm a Jesus girl. There's only one Jesus Christ, and there's over 4,000 religions. We should not be separating one religion and have a whole month for it, for the state.
And thank you for joining us. If there's additional remarks you wanted to get on the record, feel free to shoot us an email, and we can make sure the entire members get it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Tanya Freeman, I believe this is a direct violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. I also believe it's a disgrace for anyone to have written this bill for the month of July, which is when we celebrate our independence from England. I could live without a gay pride month, which I think is kind of ridiculous to start with. If you want to live your life straight, be straight. You want to live it gay, be gay. You want to be Muslim, Christian, Catholic, doesn't matter. Be who you are, accept who you are, and stop the identity politics.
And thank you for joining us. I don't believe we have anybody else in person wishing to testify in opposition. So we'll go to the phone line in opposition for Assembly Bill 278.
If you would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 278, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Kimberly Fergus, FBR GUS. Thank you for letting me speak. I strongly oppose AB 278, which designates July as Muslim American Heritage Month. While this bill states that 64% of Muslim Americans report experiencing discrimination, I believe creating a separate observant risks further dividing us rather than uniting us. By isolating specific religion groups, we inadvertently put people into boxes rather than promoting the idea that we are all Americans first. Unified, equality, and deserving of respect, regardless of faith, we all bleed red, and unity is the path forward. Let's focus on policies that foster inclusion and respect for all Nevadans rather than singling out specific groups. Vote no on 2B78. Thank you. Have a good day.
And thank you for joining us. For those of you that are on the phone line, I understand that we have quite a bit of folk wishing to call in over the phone. I just wanted to let you know that we're about 8-9 minutes out until we hit the 30-minute mark that's allowed for each side. I would, in the interest of time, you don't have to listen to me, but in the interest of time, if you want to allow everybody to get their name on the record, the particular organization they may represent, and maybe say, look, I've already, I support the bill, or I'm in opposition to the bill based on what everybody already said. That would allow everybody to get on the record, and it would give everybody an opportunity to participate. You don't have to do that, but again, I just want to make it abundantly clear. We have about 8-9 minutes left in the 30 minutes allowed per side. So in the best interest of utilizing your time, take that into consideration. Next caller in opposition, please.
Hi, my name is Katrina Ivanov, and I feel extremely qualified to speak on this particular bill because I come from a mixed faith family. My mom is Turkish, aka Muslim, and my dad is Bulgarian, aka Christian. However, I mostly identify as an American, and as such, I am strongly opposed to AB 278. I am opposed by the presenter, the answer that the presenter of the bill on the first senator that spoke. I just did less than a minute search on Google, and he gave me the answer that the official Muslim American Heritage Month is in January for the USA. My disappointment deepened when I realized that the presenter was well aware of that fact. And furthermore, she had no good reason to insist on July. I do not have words to express my disappointment to hear a legislature that is elected to represent us to be so dismissive of Independence Day, one of the most important holidays we have in this country. I quote, she said, one day of the month. That is what she referred to for Independence Day. It's just one day of the month. Disgusting. This is our legislature to represent us. I'm sorry, I'm very disappointed. That is a spit in the face to our forefathers and everyone that bled for our amazing country. I urge you to please vote no to this bill. If you really, really, really want to put some month, then put January. However, I really rather not have
And
money
ma'am, we
dedicated
have
to
about,
one religion only.
we have at least 11 more people that want to speak, and we're at the 2-minute mark. Thank you for calling in. Feel free to shoot us an email if you'd like to add any additional remarks for the record. Next caller in opposition, please.
Hi, my name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the state treasurer of the Independent American Party and also a 15-year member of the American Legion Auxiliary, and I'm representing both today. You know, the Catholics and the Jews and the Mormons and the Christians, they've all had, there are all these different religions that have had threats and hatred and bigotry against them in our American history at one time or another. You know, if you're going to be doing one religion and promoting that for a whole month, there's going to be problems, I think, down the road. How about having an American Heritage Month in July, because that's when, of course, we celebrate July 4th, but a whole month for American Heritage, because right now we get one day. If you're going to pass this bill, you really need to pick another month, because July is when we have celebrated our country, our heritage, our culture, along with our founding and our freedoms, and we've celebrated them for 249 years. Vote no on AB 278. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Yolanda Knack, YOLANDA-KNAAK. Please vote no. Nellis has 88% opposition. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members. My name is Jim DeGraffenreid, JIMDEGRAFFENREID. I'm Nevada's Republican National Committee man here on behalf of the Nevada Republican Party in opposition to AB 278. The Republican Party platform states that we support legal immigration and assimilation. The very backgrounds of the legal immigrants that make up the melting pot of America have always been a part of our strength. However, we have concerns with the timing on this bill. We would point out that Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey has introduced Senate Resolution 534 in the United States Senate to designate January as Muslim American Heritage Month. And in January of 2025, he co-sponsored House Resolution 61, which is sponsored by Andre Carson, Democrat of Indiana. These resolutions align with the efforts of the Muslim American Heritage Organization, which also denotes January as the month of recognition. More info is on their website at muslimamericanheritage.org. We greatly appreciate the words of Senator Ellison, who for years has personally financed Elko's Independence Day fireworks. July is the month when we celebrate America's independence, and that month should be reserved as a month to celebrate our unique and unified American heritage, which makes July an inappropriate month for this recognition or for any other individual group. Most Nevadans understand this, and that's why 88% of the nearly 500 opinions on the legislative website are in opposition to AB 278 in its current form. We appreciate the sponsor's effort in proposing this recognition, but respectfully suggest that the traditional month of January is a better choice and request that the committee oppose this bill in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Caller with the last three digits, you are unmuted. Please continue.
Hi, this is Danielle Evans, Danielle, last name Evans. I want to ditto the comments preceding mine, and I hope that you guys vote no for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Hi, this is Sheila Arceo, SHEILAARCEO, and I represent myself. I stand in opposition to this bill. Please do not, in current form or any form, make or designate a month for the Islam religion. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Cynthia Martinez, CYNTHIA Assembly 30, Senate 13. I am also a Marine Corps veteran and a retired law enforcement officer, Nevada State Peace Officer. I am deeply and strongly opposed to AB 278, not on the principle of the subject matter, but the fact, in my opinion, it's blatantly unconstitutional on its face. The language of the bill designates that the governor shall issue a proclamation. That's a de facto declaration, establishment of a religion, in my opinion, and that runs contrary to the United States First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. I'm opposed to any month being isolated as a heritage month designated to any faith, and I am a devout Catholic, and I celebrate the election of Pope Leo yesterday. I would similarly be opposed to a month designated to Catholic Heritage Month because it would be a violation of the First Amendment, and I would not expect the governor or my fellow citizens to have to spend a whole month acknowledging my faith. Please vote no on this unconstitutional bill. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We have now utilized the 30 minutes allowed for each side of the argument. However, I know there's 3 more callers on the phone. So I'm going to ask, I want you to be recognized. It's just 3 more folk. I want you to be recognized, but I'm going to ask that when we call upon you, you state your name for the record, and then you simply say you're opposed, and then we're going to go to the next person. So it's going to take less than a minute, but I want to recognize the 3 of you for the sake of you waiting so much time. So next caller in opposition, please state your name for the record, state that you're in opposition, and then we'll go to the next 2.
Kathleen Saline, SELINE, calling from Fallon, Nevada. And I just want to say that I oppose AB 278. Please vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next caller in opposition, please.
Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIAPERINE. We understand that Muslims comprise 0.2% of the Nevada population, and Native Americans are about 42 million. They only get one Indigenous day. So this work, I
appreciate it.
AB
Thank you.
278.
We're gonna get you in opposition. Next caller not in opposition, please.
Good afternoon, Tammy Romo, TAMIROMO. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. And I oppose this bill 278, AB 278. Thank you.
Thank you. And just, if anybody else, we didn't, for whatever reason, we didn't get to you, please know that we can still get you on the record in opposition, support, or neutral of this bill. All you have to do is send us an email, and it will be adequately reflected there. So if for whatever reason we didn't get to you, please know you can still do that, and the record will adequately capture you and support opposition or neutral. Next, we'll stay on the phone lines. At this time, we'd like to open up testimony in the neutral position for Assembly Bill 278. Do we have anybody wishing to join us in neutral over the phone?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 278, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite anybody in Las Vegas or Carson City wishing to testify in the neutral position. Seeing none, Assemblymember Miller, any closing remarks you may have?
Thank you so much, Chair Flores. I actually have a lot of closing remarks, and I wish I hadn't cut my presentation down because I would give you the exact names of the Muslims who marched with George Washington under his direct command during the Revolutionary War. Of course, we all understand that there's this conversation about Muslims being just immigrants, but we also know that the first Muslims that were brought here to the United States were because they were kidnapped and dragged on the bottom of a boat, the Africans that were brought here and then enslaved. But yes, Muslim Americans, again, the keyword American, we're not talking about anyone else, but come from all different races, colors, and yes, are born here. I understand the argument, and just to address again the question about the month of July, I stated before, Congress and Michigan had gone with January. Many other states had gone with July. As a legislator, it is not my job to tell an impacted community what to do. It is my job to listen and present the ideas that they have. And so we discussed this thoroughly. I told them my thoughts, my concerns, and knew that it would be a question as it was in the Assembly as it is here. And they decided to go with July. And so, again, my job is to listen. But out of concern for the protection of Independence Day, I just looked and I wanted to see what other holidays have been, if there were other holidays that were actually celebrated in July. So here's what I was able to find for, let's see, the month of July. First, it starts with International Joke Day. I'm not going to go, actually, let me go to monthly observances. Family Fun Day, National Anti-Boredom Month, National Baked Bean Month, National Blueberry Month, National Cell Phone Courtesy Month, Foreign Language Month, Grilling Month, Hemp Month, Horseradish Month, Hot Dog Month, Ice Cream Month, Peach Month, Picnic Month, National World Watercolor Month, Read an Almanac Month, French American Heritage Month, Wildlife Month. The 4th of July is actually also celebrated as Caribbean Community Day, National Barbecued Spare Ribs Day, National Caesar Salad Day, National Country Music Day, National Hillbilly Day, and Independence Day. One thing I'd like to say is, as we talk about education, it is not pronounced Muslim, it is Muslim. So there's no Z in it. I've heard that this entire time. Also, as a Christian, there is no war on Christianity. I don't feel attacked or persecuted in any way for being a Christian. People brought up about what about other faiths and other holidays and other religions, and we've had bills for that too. In fact, we just passed out of the Assembly AB 82, which did address 5 different holidays from the Hindu, Sikh, and Islam faiths. So again, we do have those. What bothers me though is as we're trying to, and I shouldn't say we, that is the wrong word to use, as those others who claim to be Christians and patriots to weaponize and to distort the values and to use this against other people. As a Christian, I know that my faith tells me to follow the examples of Christ. And what his examples were of love and acceptance, advocation, and protection. And again, the one commandment to love thy neighbor. The Bible also says that you will know them by their fruits, and I think we saw a great example today of where people really are. Again, people don't have to answer to the legislature or the government. They won't even have to answer to their neighbors, but they will have to answer to the Lord about how they felt about his children. And so with that, I just thank you for this opportunity. I think it is well demonstrated why something like this is necessary, to be able to celebrate people and to embrace people and give opportunity, not just for education, but for people to be able to share their cultures, their customs, food, and be able to be recognized and celebrated and acknowledged as as American as anyone else in this room. And so with that, I thank you so much for your time and your consideration and your vote on AB 278.
And please, Senator Ellison.
And thank you. This is like I said, it's no disrespect. I too have a strong Christian faith, even though I get so excited when it comes to our veterans. When I got sick and almost died, was in a coma for a month, was putting the wreaths on the graves. I work, I don't know how many times a year to put the cross on the mountain in Elko. And my company does that to help the veterans. And we started the Veterans Day Parade in Elko. I even got married on the Marine Corps birthday. But I want you to thank your family for their sacrifice and service to this country. I don't care what religion you are or what faith you believe in, about what we believe in this country. And of course, there's never been an atheist in a foxhole. So thank you.
Well, and I would like to respond and say, I would thank my father, but because of his service in the Marines, he died when I was 13. So again, when you're talking about sacrifices that families have made, and again, countless cousins and uncles that are still serving in the military as well as NATO, thank you. I do an awful lot to thank them as well. But again, I can't ask my dad because he made the ultimate sacrifice because of his service.
And Senator Rogich, I believe, had one question or comment.
Thank you, Chair. I want to say this, while we acknowledge and consider the statements that were made today by the opposition, there were certain statements that I found very unsettling, and even to the point that questioning our colleagues' patriotism and love for the country and the state. I have no doubt, and I want to put that on the record. I do believe, and I am proud to stand by you in the legislature, and thank you for bringing the bill. We may not agree on certain issues, but I do not feel that the statements made today accusing that there may be hatred toward our country. I do not believe that whatsoever. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
And thank you, Assemblymember Miller. Appreciate you coming today and joining us on a Friday. You have a wonderful weekend. And with that, we'll close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 278. And next, members, will go to Assembly Bill 301. And I do see our Assemblymember LaRue Hatch. Good afternoon, welcome. And whenever you're ready, proceed.
All right, well, good afternoon. I am Assemblymember Selena LaRue Hatch. Thank you, Chair and Committee, for having me here today. I am here to guest present AB 301. This is not my bill. You might not see my name on there, but Assemblymember Goulding and I have worked on it extensively, and she is actually celebrating her son's PhD graduation today. So I volunteered to step in on a Friday afternoon and help her out with her bill. Now, I was planning on presenting an amendment today, but we are in fact just presenting the bill as it was passed out of the Assembly House. So we are not going to be discussing the amendment, and you can just read the bill as it was reprinted. Correct. Yes. Okay. So with that in mind, I would like to pass it to my co-presenter, who's going to give you a brief overview of general improvement districts and their history in the state.
Thank you, Chair Flores, Vice Chair Orenshall. Thank you very much for hearing AB 301, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Matt Morris, M-O-R-R-I-S. I'm an attorney with Holland and Hart. I'm here on behalf of the Sun Valley General Improvement District. I do have a very short presentation that I will get through quickly. And as a quick summary of AB 301, this is enabling legislation that will authorize certain general improvement districts that provide water, trash collection, and sewer services to adjust a cap on board member compensation. The bill would increase a cap that was first enacted in 2005, 20 years ago, to adjust for inflation from $9,000 to up to $14,500. Before I go through the provisions of AB 301, I just want to give a very high-level overview of general improvement districts in the state. GIDs are governed by statute under NRS Chapter 318. The primary purpose of the GID structure is to provide a quasi-municipal form of government that facilitates financing and development of infrastructure and ongoing essential services within a particular defined geographic area. GIDs are meant to be an economic development and infrastructure development tool for local, county, and municipal government. By statute, NRS 318, GIDs are allowed to fund infrastructure development and maintain and provide ongoing essential services such as water treatment and delivery, trash pickup and disposal, sewer service, and other needed services. A GID is governed by a board of trustees, which can either be the local county commission or the municipal governing body, or a separate independent elected board of trustees. If a GID board is governed by its own elected board of trustees, members run for office for 4-year terms and are subject to term limits and other election provisions. There are 75 or so active GIDs in Nevada. Most counties have at least one GID with some exceptions. And based on the most recent data from the Nevada Department of Taxation, about 40 provide water, trash collection, and sewer service, and of those, about 25 are governed by independent elected boards. AB 301 applies to those 25 or so GIDs. If a GID is governed by the local county commission or a municipal governing body, then AB 301 would not apply under NRS 318-0953, which governs compensation for board members who are serving as part of their role in on the county commission. Just very briefly, this slide illustrates the 17 or so different functions that a GID is authorized to provide, from water and trash and sewer, everything to recreational facilities, street lighting, streets and alleys, and others. I also want to just give a very quick legislative history of SB 3 of NRS Chapter 318 as a quick timeline. SB 20 was passed in the 1959 legislative session, and that bill established NRS 318 in its current form. There were a few GIDs in Nevada that pre-existed this legislation. AB 166 was passed during the 1977 legislative session and established a $6,000 compensation cap that is still in NRS 318-085. During the 2005 session, AB 475 kept the $6,000 limit for certain GID boards, but established a separate limit of $9,000 for the select groups of GIDs that provide water, sewer, and trash collection services. And again, AB 301 proposes to authorize adjusting this $9,000 cap only for the GIDs that provide this specific service. So in short, AB 301 would authorize a board to take a vote to adjust board member compensation from the current $9,000 cap to up to $14,500. That figure was taken from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI inflation portal, which measures the average change in prices over time. So if you take $9,000 from 2005, that's roughly $15,000 today. Finally, I just want to emphasize some of the existing statutory rules that apply to any GID board that's going to take a vote on its compensation. These limits are in existing law, NRS 318-085 sub 5. And these limitations include that a GID budget must be adequate for a compensation change. A board level majority vote is required. No additional compensation is allowed as a board employee or otherwise. Their statute mandates compensation parity among members of the GID board. And I think most importantly, under 318-085, any vote to change compensation for a GID board cannot take effect until after the next biennial election. So if the GID board were to take advantage of this legislation and vote to adjust the board member compensation, that could not take effect until after the next election, January 1st. That's under existing law. With that concludes the presentation, and unless there are other comments, I'm happy to answer questions.
So Selena LaRue Hatch for the record. So essentially, this is meant to update an outdated section of statute to align with inflation, and there are safeguards within the bill, and we stand ready for questions.
And thank you, both of you, for the presentation. Members, any questions? Senator Ellison, please.
Thank you. And this is only for Sparks and Sparks, and where else was it? It was two places, wasn't it?
Morris, for the record, through you, Chair. No, Senator Ellison, Sun Valley General Improvement District is located in Sparks, outside the Sparks area. This would apply to about 20 or so different GIDs that provide water, sewer, and trash collection. About 25 of them. A number of them are in Douglas County. Sun Valley is also in that category.
Is this enabling or is this mandatory? Because you're talking to the counties.
Matt Morris again for the record. This is enabling legislation. If this bill is passed, it is completely up to the boards whether they want to vote to make any changes to compensation. It doesn't require it, and certainly there are some boards that may think that it's warranted based on their customers and based on the voters who vote them into office. There may be other boards who don't think that the voters would support that change.
Thank you.
Members, any additional questions? Seeing none, thank you again both for joining us on Friday. And with that, I'd like to invite you to sit in the back, and we'll have anybody wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 301, if you could please come forward, Carson City or Las Vegas. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Kelly McNeil, McNeil, Executive Director of the Nevada League of Cities. As Nevada's communities grow and service demands expand, GID board members are tasked with making more technically and fiscally complex decisions. Fair and adequate compensation is not only a matter of equity, it is essential for attracting qualified, committed individuals who are capable of managing vital services effectively. By acknowledging the scale and significance of these roles, AB 301 provides local governments the flexibility to support strong, capable governance in GIDs without mandating compensation levels or imposing costs. This bill preserves local discretion while modernizing statutory limits that have not kept pace with current needs. For these reasons, the Nevada League of Cities supports AB 301. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores, Vice Chair Orenshaw, and all of the wonderful members of the Senate Government Affairs Committee. My name is Christine Johnson. For the record, that is CHRISTINE, and I represent Kingsbury General Improvement District, which is a Lake Tahoe community in Douglas County. We would like to agree with all of the statements that Ms. Brenda Castillo with the Washoe County School District made during her support testimony in the Assembly Government Affairs Committee. The current compensation for GID trustees does not align with the time and effort that the trustees invest into their roles, which can deter the most qualified individuals from serving on the board. Increasing the compensation may attract a more diverse pool of individuals and candidates that may improve the retention of dedicated board members. I would like to thank Assembly Member Goulding for bringing this bill forward, and thank you all for your time and for allowing my testimony today. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to testify in support either in Carson City or Las Vegas? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. Support for AB 301.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 301, please press *9 now or raise hand in your Zoom window.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Siebert. I am the current chair of the Sun Valley General Improvement District Board. I'd like to thank Chairman Flores and the members of the committee for today. I apologize for not being there in person. I have had some surgery and the doctor will not allow me to drive. So I would just like to say I am a 47-year resident of Sun Valley, Nevada. I am actually wrapping up my tenure as the chair and as a trustee. And I will tell you that trustees in these areas are basically the actual government. We get questions and we send referrals and information to constituents every day. I think it's very important that we're able to make sure that we can recruit and encourage other of our citizens to run for the General Improvement District. And that is why I'm supporting this bill today. I will tell you that after my several terms on the board, I would love to be able to see this compensation raised. I always get asked, why would I do this? Well, I would do this so that people will be able to be encouraged to run for this office. And what will stop a general improvement district from actually wanting to do this? Was very simple. It would be our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller in support, please.
Yes, Michael Refty for the record, REVTY. I've been living in Sun Valley since 72. I am in support of AB 301. I have seen our general improvement district grow. I fully trust our elected officials. I have seen how they handle the project. I have also seen our staff and their transparency with all that they do. And I've seen them get praised by the auditors that come in. And for this reason, I am in full support of AB 301. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in support.
Caller with the last three digits of 926, please press *6 to unmute. Thank you. Please continue.
Yes, my name is Malik Blythe, last name Blythe. I'm a service provider in Sun Valley since 2020, and I am in support of AB 301 passing.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller.
Chair, you have no more caller. I'm so sorry, Chair.
No, please proceed. Thank you.
You have no more callers at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 301, either in Carson City or Las Vegas, to please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go back to the phone lines. Anybody in opposition to Assembly Bill 301?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 301, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 130, please press *6 to unmute. Please continue.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. My name is Judith Miller, Miller. Many GIDs are underfunded to provide the services for which they were created. Raising trustees' salary cap is guaranteeing an increase in the amount of fees imposed on taxpayers and lessens the amount available to provide essential services. GID trustees should be there because they care about the community, not for the money or the perks. We have much higher priorities for the use of public funds. I live in the Incline Village GID. Most years, it has so many candidates that a primary election is needed. IVGID, a public agency, owns a broad spectrum of money-losing so-called essential recreational facilities, heavily subsidized by a fee imposed by just 3 trustees for whatever amount they think the community will bear. For many, it exceeds their entire property tax bill. In recent years, our homeowners have made a forced contribution to IVGID of $7 million annually, used to subsidize everything from alcoholic drinks and food at its bars and restaurants to bringing down the cost of a $250 round of golf to $50. Even with this huge inflow of cash, the district is not properly managed and has been placed on fiscal watch. Any increase in trustee salaries will just raise the so-called fee. Furthermore, unlike GIDs and other GIDs and any other public agency I've ever encountered, our district provides a whole panoply of benefits to trustees that aren't available to the residents, including free once-a-week golf rounds, tennis time, rec center use, and lift tickets, which when combined add up to thousands of dollars of benefits. Yes, we need changes to Chapter 318, but there's no need for AB 301. Higher pay should not be the motivating factor to serve as a trustee for your community for an agency with such limited powers. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition, please.
This is Yolanda Canuck, Yolanda, last name Knaak, chair and committee. I actually live in Incline Village as well as the last caller. Please oppose AB 301. Who really needs a raise is our assembly and our senators. They're the ones that work the hardest, I think. And I don't think they make much more money than our board members. We want board members that want to help our communities, not to do it for the money. This is an unfunded mandate, and the people that are going to fund it, it's going to be our tax dollars, because that money comes out of our taxes, on our property taxes. Incline Village GID is on fiscal watch right now for missing money over $700,000. Please don't reward them by giving them a raise. Thank you very much. Please vote no.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak again. Katrina Ivanov, Ivy, AN of Franklin. I'm in opposition of this bill for what all the previous people said. I have never seen do not have enough people that wanna go for government positions. We all know there are other perks that comes with that, not to mention some people do it just for their personal beliefs or whatever. I don't believe that 3 people only gonna vote and decide. They should not have the right to decide their own salaries. If people have the right to decide their own salaries, where would be the end of it? Everybody always doesn't have enough money. Even millionaires want more and more and more money. So please oppose this bill. Thank you for your patience with all of us, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Next caller in opposition.
Hello, my name is Aaron Katz, Katz. I'm a resident of Incline Village. We're part of the Incline Village General Improvement District, the largest GID in the state. And unlike some of the other callers, I've seen the ills of GIDs. They should be dissolved, but that's a subject for another day. I sent a letter in opposition. I asked it be made part of the record for this hearing. As you've heard, the purpose of this proposed legislation is to address a problem Sun Valley has, not the rest of the state, Sun Valley. This proposed legislation affects the entire state. GIDs have no real revenue source other than water, sewer, and solid waste rates and charges. Except for IVGID, we've got an invalid rec fee. We'll talk about that at another hearing. If you allow trustees to receive more compensation, where's the money going to come from? There's only one other source: increased water, sewer, solid waste rates, and they will increase. Don't kid yourself. And by the way, we're talking about over $30,000 a year, 5 trustees, salary and benefits. GIDs engage in all sorts of adventures they have no business pursuing. So they're not the local government. That's why Sun Valley trustees want more pay, because they're involved in activities they shouldn't be. If they want more pay, I say, get a job. You should want to serve as a trustee to give back to your community. Many district governing board members don't receive any pay for their service. Why are we paying trustees of GID? Sun Valley disingenuously states increased compensation will only occur if the trustees vote for it. Again, don't kid yourselves. All GID's trustees will vote for this if they had the ability to.
Sir, we have hit the 2-minute mark.
Against this matter.
We've hit the 2-minute mark, but please know that your letter is part of the record. We did receive it, and it's uploaded on Nellis. Thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIA, TERINE. I am in opposition of AB 301 as a former resident of Incline Village, Nevada. I am concerned that this GID is placed on fiscal watch by the Nevada Department of Taxation. And they have had no less than 5 extensions because they have failed to produce auditable financial statements for the 2023 and 2024 fiscal year. There's a $740,000 cash shortage supported by duplicate invoices and so forth. So there are many unexplained anomalies with regard to the accounting at the IVGID, and therefore I think it is wise to oppose AB 301, and I thank you for your time.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Good afternoon. This is Tammy Romo, TAMI-ROMO. I agree with most of the people in front of me. If they have a issue with money missing, no one should be rewarded, because in the real world, people don't get rewarded for money going missing. So neither should the government be rewarded for money going missing. So obviously they're not doing their job well enough, and you should only get rewarded when you do a good job, not a bad job. Thank you very much, and I oppose this bill. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in opposition.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. And we, too, are in opposition of AB 301. Everyone before me has expressed most of our concerns, especially the money situation. So we're asking a no vote on AB 301. Thank you.
And thank you. Next caller in opposition.
Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to those wishing to testify in the neutral position for Assembly Bill 301. Do we have anybody on the phone?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 301, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. My name is Jim DeGraffenreid, JIMDEGRAFFENREID. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Gardnerville Ranchos General Improvement District, but I'm speaking today on my own behalf and not in my capacity as a GRGID trustee. Because this is an enabling legislation that will allow individual districts to decide on compensation, I'm neutral on AB 301, but I felt that my perspective could be useful to you. I ran for my position because I wanted to serve the community that I live in, not because of compensation. And I think that's true of many public servants and local board members that I know. I feel that the current compensation is fair for the time the trustees devote to their positions, and this may not be the time to be increasing government pay. Gardnerville Rancho's GID is well managed, financially sound, and I'm proud of the service that we provide to our community. But if this bill is passed, I would not support increasing the pay of our trustees, particularly by 60%. My preference is to use our ratepayers' funds to provide services rather than increase board compensation. However, again, because it is enabling legislation, I am neutral in order to allow each GID board to make their own decisions and to be accountable to their local constituents. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to join us in the neutral position over the phone?
Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
Anybody in Carson City or Las Vegas wishing to testify in the neutral position? Seeing none, Assembly Member, any closing remarks?
I will be brief because it's Friday. So I am Assemblymember LaRue Hatch for the record. I just want to be clear, this is enabling legislation. It does not require any compensation increases to be enacted. And I think we just heard the perfect example of a GID board member who said they would not raise their compensation under this bill. And I think he said it best when he said we should let each board decide what makes sense for their community and for their board with their budget. And with that, I thank you for hearing this bill.
And thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 301. And we'll go to our last presentation, and we'll open up the hearing for Assembly Bill 509. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Flores. Appreciate it. Craig Stevens for the record, CRAIG, STEVNS, representing Cox Communications. Do have a PowerPoint, but due to the late hour, you all have it in front of you, and we'll just quickly go through it if that's okay. Perfect. First, thank you so much for this opportunity here. AB 509, this is a bill that we have worked really, really hard with a lot of different folks, and I want to thank every single one of them for their hard work on this bill. The primary objective of AB 509 is to update antiquated statutory authority that governs market activity in the broadband space. So how do we do it? Well, we bring the public right-of-way, bring Nevada's public right-of-way and licensing statutes up to date to match the variety of options for the public to purchase broadband service. The law doesn't look at or speak to certain types of companies that are trying to get in the right of way to provide broadband service, and that's really what this bill is trying to do. We're basically trying to create a process for broadband-only companies to receive a license at the local government level. Because right now they can, but it's not exactly the best way that they can go about doing it. We're just simply trying to widen the road. Technology advancement has led us to a place in Nevada to open a new lane for these broadband-only providers. Again, we are a cable provider that provides broadband. We have telephone companies out there that provide broadband. We have many different ways to do it. This is just another way, and the law does not speak to how they can actually get into the right-of-way. So we need to recognize this market evolution. Not every entity can fit or should fit in the current existing regulatory framework, and it's up to the legislature to create a new one when that happens. AB 509 provides a solution for local government and the broadband-only providers to come to terms based on their technology and their access needs. So what? What are we trying to do here? So first and foremost, as I said, the bill updates the current statute to align with current technology options by creating a pathway for broadband-only providers to enter into agreements with local government that are based on the services they're providing. It defines who a broadband-only provider is and who it is not. And it also defines what a broadband-only service is. And our intent also on this bill is not to impact any communication company that already has rights to access the right-of-way under federal or state law unless the company is a broadband-only provider only. Again, this bill is intentionally narrow in its focus. So why is it needed? Well, first and foremost, the Nevada Legislature has a history of creating rules for utility-type companies to access the public right-of-way. The broadband market is very competitive, and it's critical that the state help create a level playing field. The current regulatory environment for these providers can be confusing and a bit uneven. In fact, we have one local government right now, where we have two broadband-only providers playing by two very different sets of rules. And how can we, as companies, how can you create a competitive environment if there's no certainty in the regulatory framework? And one final note on why this is needed. We've all heard of the BEAD program. BEAD program is over $400 million in federal dollars that are going to be coming to the state to help solve the digital divide. It's basically money to go to folks' homes for those who are unserved and underserved. And a lot of that is going to be going to the rural areas. And if we don't have a regulatory environment that's in statute that makes sense, there's going to be a lot of confusion as these companies come into the state, try to get licensed, try to get permits, try to do all the things that a normal entity would do. And so for that reason and many others, we believe that this bill is necessary. So Chair Flores, members of the committee, I believe that, again, a lot of work has gone into this bill. It's been heavily amended since its original version. The original version had a significant amount of opposition as well. But I do want to personally thank the representatives of Google Fiber, Gigapower, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Charter, our local governments, especially the city of Las Vegas, city of Henderson. They've been amazing partners in this process. We took a lot to get all parties onto the same page, and we think that we've reached a pretty good compromise with this bill, recognized by the unanimous passage in the first house. I can go through the bill if you prefer. Again, my explanation pretty much tells you what the bill does. And if not, I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
I think we can go to questions now, and then I know folk will direct your attention to specific sections as they're asking. So let's do that. Senator Neal, please.
Thank you. So it's two questions. How many broadband providers are now included in this bill?
Mr. Chairman, through you. Okay, thank you. Senator Neal. There are several. I believe I know of two that are specifically going for residential service. There are others that do go for business services. But if you look at local government agendas, you see more and more trying to come into the state every day. But for right now, the ones that we see, obviously, are two.
And the second question, how much would that 2% generate now that they would be under that?
It really depends on how many.
And then we could just get your name for the record.
Sorry, Craig Stevens for the record. My apologies. You'd think I would know that by now. Again, that I don't know. It depends on how many customers they have. It depends on the neighborhoods, and it depends on the price of their product.
And then that 2%, because I know like the original structure, it has like, I believe the 5 and then 2, right?
For the record, Craig Stevens. Most utilities pay 5%. Cable providers such as us, we pay 5% on our video, and we also pay on our telecommunications. We do not pay on our broadband. Nationwide, you see 2% seems to be the general average of what most communities are doing, and that's just because it's the specific nature of the technology, the amount of customers they'll have, and the amount, again, this is not, you're not penalizing a company for being in the right-of-way. This is what the local governments need in order to manage their right-of-way, and so this is what you're seeing across the country, a 2% fee. And again, this is enabling. They can go 0 if they wanted to.
So, and I know, I kind of know the answer to this one, but that 2%, because the way that we did NRS 354, is that 2% actually goes, that you pay. So the 2 goes into the state education fund, but this 2% would go nowhere, because basically they don't really generate.
For the record, Craig Stevens, the money that Cox pays, for example, our franchise fees, goes directly to local government. How they choose to use it, again, that you'll have to ask them. I stopped being an expert in budgets when I left the education field, and I choose not to be an education budget expert anymore. However, unfortunately, I can't answer that question. I apologize for that, Senator.
Thanks.
Members, any additional questions? I just wanted to say once again, thank you for all the work that I know collectively humans have put into this, and to get all you on the same page, is impressive. So
I appreciate that. It's been a fun ride.
I'm sure it was. I'd like to invite you to sit back, and at this time, I'd like to invite those wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 509. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Piper Heath, Piperheath, with Strategies 360, here today on behalf of Google Fiber. We support AB 509, and we believe that AB 509 will provide certainty to broadband providers, and that certainty will spark crucial investment in high-speed broadband services. We thank both the sponsors of the bill and local governments for working very hard with us to get the bill where it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Good evening. Well, evening, afternoon.
Almost. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Paul Murat from the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of AB 509, and we'd like to thank the bill sponsor for working with stakeholders to ensure that the government authority is updated and is reflective of the times and what is in the marketplace. We appreciate those efforts, and we are in support of the bill. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Randy Robinson, Director of Government Affairs for the City of Las Vegas, here in support of this measure. It has, as Mr. Stevens from Cox Communications said, it has been an interesting and fun ride to get here. A lot of work went into it. We want to thank Cox, Google, AT&T, many other partners for working so hard on it to make sure that the way that we partner with those who enter our right-of-ways, for which we have the responsibility to manage those, is fair and equitable, both to them and to us. We think we've done that with this bill, and we encourage your support. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll go to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Chair Flores and the members of the committee. My name is Eric Cardona, ERICCARDONA, and I'm here on behalf of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce in support of AB 509. We have submitted written testimony as well, and but do believe this is a common sense bill that will help establish a level playing field for service providers and ensure customer protections. For those reasons, we are in support of AB 509. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Anybody else wishing to come forward, Carson City or Las Vegas? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. Support testimony for Assembly Bill 509.
If you would like to testify in support of AB 509, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to opposition to Assembly Bill 509, Carson City or Las Vegas. Seeing none, we'll go back to the phone lines. Anybody in opposition to Assembly Bill 509?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 509, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And lastly, we'll go to neutral for Assembly Bill 509, Carson City or Las Vegas. We'll start here in Carson City. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lina Tanner, Tanner Law and Strategy Group. I represent Gigapower LLC. Thanks to all of the stakeholders for all of their hard work and the committee members. Gigapower, based on that, has moved from opposition at the Assembly side to neutral. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and committee. For the record, Shelley Capurro representing Charter Communications, and we would like to thank Cox and thank our other telecom stakeholders and some of the local governments in Southern Nevada for the conversations we had regarding affiliate and CMRS. We would also like to thank Cox for their commitment to us to continue those conversations in the interim. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Flores, members of the committee. For the record, David Cherry with the City of Henderson. We too want to just express our thanks to Cox and to Mr. Craig Stevens for his willingness to work with us as a stakeholder in what were some fairly complex negotiations, but we got to where we needed to be so that we could be neutral on this bill. Also want to compliment him on his brevity in his presentation today, and want to say thanks everybody and a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there this weekend.
And I don't think we have anybody else in Carson. We'll go to Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, my name is Helen Foley, and today I'm representing T-Mobile. And I'd like to thank Craig Stevens, Cox, and all of the telecommunications industry as well as local governments who worked really hard to reach this compromise. It was not easy. It was nail biting at times, but we think it's good legislation now. And so thank you very much.
And thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Flores and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Omar Salcedo. That's OMAR SAUCEDO, and I'm testifying here today on behalf of AT&T. First, I want to thank Cox for the stakeholder engagement on this bill. After testifying in opposition in the first house, we're here testifying neutral due to all the work by all the interested stakeholders and parties. We had robust conversations amongst the telecommunication community, and we appreciate Cox's work on this bill to make sure that all of our concerns were alleviated and for clarifying what this bill does and does not. So for those reasons, we're here today neutral. Thank you for your time. That completes my testimony.
Thank you. I don't think we have anybody else in Carson City or Las Vegas. We'll go to the phone lines. Neutral for Assembly Bill 509.
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 509, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. This is Tammy Romo, TAMIROMO. First of all, I want to thank Chair Flores. It's been not that I hear you too often, but you've been very accommodating and very kind throughout the entire day. Really appreciate that. I don't know too much about this bill, but I do know as a consumer that we have to have more choices. It almost seems that Cox has a monopoly on providing the, I'm going to say, internet Wi-Fi services, if I understood correctly, and they just have such a strong hold. So as a consumer, I think we do need more options, and it sounds like there's different options that are going to be coming to the city, and then there's a 2% tax that goes along with that. So my testimony today will just, on this subject, will just be neutral, but it does sound like a well-intended bill. Thank you very much for your time, and that's the end of my testimony.
And thank you for joining us. Next caller in neutral.
Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
Thank you. And we'll come back to Carson City for closing remarks.
Thank you once again, Craig Stevens, for the record. I just want to add just real quick that what the representative from Charter said is absolutely right. We're willing to come back next session to continue to work on legislation. As technology advances, we need to make sure the statutes advance. We're more than happy to continue to work with everyone to ensure this is right. Thank you.
Thank you again for all the work. And with that, we'll go ahead and close out the hearing on Assembly Bill 509. The very last item on our agenda is public comment. Anybody here wishing to join us for public comment? Seeing none, do we have anybody wishing to join us for public comment over the phone?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hi, this is Katrina Ivanov again. Long time haven't spoke, so I have to speak now. I just wanted to second the previous caller opinion that the chair was very patient and very accommodating, especially to us, the voters that try to submit opinions. We don't see that a lot, so when I see it, I like to acknowledge it. I also want to wish Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are in the Assembly, in the Senate, in the Legislature, and all the mothers that are listening, and all the mothers in Nevada. Thank you, and have a lovely weekend.
And thank you for joining us. Is there anybody else wishing to join us for public comment over the phone?
Chair, you have no more callers at this time.
Thank you. Before we conclude the meeting, members, I want to give everybody a little bit of a lay of the land for next week. Again, we're going to be having very long meetings. Because of that, we're going to be meeting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the call of the chair, which will be immediately upon the adjournment of judiciary, so that we may be able to start a little bit sooner. We also anticipate likely adding another day, because we still have a lot of bills, and I'm not sure that we can get to all of them with just 3 days. So likely aiming for Thursday, want to give everybody a heads up. Again, call the chair Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Potentially add another meeting Thursday, and then also want to give everybody a heads up that we're hoping to meet immediately upon adjournment of judiciary. With that, I also will echo the remarks from some of the callers. I hope to all the wonderful mothers on the committee, in this room, and just in this universe, thank you for all you do, and happy Mother's Day. Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.